The Terrifying Legend of the Great Devil King Part 3. The Earth has entered an era of spiritual revival, and it all begins in 2065. In 2065, the world's most advanced detector discovered a UFO floating in the starry sky. When it was first detected, it was estimated to be about 8.19 km per second to 9.12 km per second, floating in the starry sky at the extremely slow speed of the first cosmic speed. At this time, it is still in the M79 nebula, 300 light-years away from the solar system. At this rate, human civilization would not have paid too much attention to it, because it is only a matter of time before it is captured by the gravity of massive stars and planets in the universe. But later, after continuous observation by the detector, it was found that it was still floating in the universe unwaveringly, and its speed was constantly changing. From the first cosmic velocity at the beginning to the third cosmic velocity today. However, 3 years later, when she observed it again, she found that she had reached Sirius, 8.58 light-years away from the solar system, and began to fly steadily in the universe at the speed of light. This discovery made the hair of scientists around the world stand on end, caused a huge uproar in global basic physics, and triggered a technological revolution. Some theoretical physicists said that she was flying at a speed faster than the speed of light, which is not currently understood by human basic physics, and some astronomers said that she must have passed through a micro-wormhole. However, it was not until 2 years later, when she was observed again, that she was found to have arrived at the star Ballard, 5.95 light-years away from the solar system. Apparently, it traveled faster than the speed of light again halfway. Moreover, its route is unwaveringly heading towards the solar system. What's more terrifying is that it is very likely to pass by the Earth. The world suddenly exploded, and various advanced detectors began to be developed continuously. This period marked the beginning of a period of rapid technological development on Earth. After testing with various technical means, the shape of the UFO was finally discovered. It would have been fine if it hadn't been discovered, but once it was discovered, it once again caused a complete shock in the human world. Because that was actually an ancient corpse in human form. Her figure and clothing are similar to those of an ancient Chinese female corpse, except that she is many times larger. She is exactly the same as the ancient person lying there. An ancient humanoid corpse that has been floating in the starry sky for who knows how long will soon be heading towards the Earth. In 5 years her arrival may bring a catastrophe to the Earth, no less than the mass extinction of the dinosaurs 65 million years ago. This inference caused people all over the world to fall into fear and trembling, and triggered unprecedented turmoil in the entire human civilization. At this time, human civilization has been in a state of chaos since the beginning of the 21st century, with the beginning of the war, the awakening of Mount Fuji, and the sinking of the island nation. In addition, the long-standing trade war among countries has led to serious internal competition, and there has been no qualitative breakthrough in aerospace technology, so interstellar colonization is not yet possible. When a truly global disaster strikes, humans are unable to save themselves. But human civilization is tenacious after all. When humanity is truly at the end of its rope, it begins to unite and prepare for a final, desperate fight. All the nuclear powers in the world have begun to gather their own nuclear weapons, such as particle beam weapons, electromagnetic pulse bombs, gamma-ray bombs, atomic bombs, hydrogen bombs, neutron bombs, etc. The most powerful weapons known to mankind have all been brought together at this moment, and use the world's latest spacecraft to deploy these weapons at the edge of the solar system, the Kuiper Belt, prepared to snipe the ancient corpse in the starry sky. According to the plans of various countries, perhaps it is enough to deviate from the original route. Deviate from the solar system. Finally, under the watchful eyes of the public and with live broadcasts from satellites all over the world. Boom! The moment the ancient corpse stepped into the solar system, the entire solar system exploded with the most brilliant fireworks in history. It is the technological crystallization of the entire human civilization. But the next moment, in the aftermath of the brilliant explosion and the wreckage of the nuclear bombs, let alone blocking it, there was not even the slightest wrinkle on the clothes on the ancient corpse. The nuclear weapons that humans are so proud of seem to be able to be used only to destroy themselves. In front of the real prehistoric civilization, interstellar civilization, and ancient corpses in the starry sky, they are like a joke. It never deviated from its trajectory and continued to move towards the Earth unwaveringly. The entire human civilization is in despair. She comes, she descends, she judges. The entire human civilization fell into its final sorrow and joy. They thought that only great destruction awaited them. Until a year later, the ancient star corpse that was originally heading towards the Earth was intercepted by the Moon, and she finally landed on the Moon. Strictly speaking, she was nailed to the Moon. An ancient sword was stabbed into her body. The ancient sword pierced through her body, and the sword body, which was who knows how many miles long, pierced into half of the Moon. When the ancient corpse of the starry sky was nailed to the Moon, nothing seemed to happen except that a terrible tsunami was caused all over the world. Experts originally predicted that the Moon might deviate from its original orbit and head towards the Earth after being hit by the ancient corpse in the starry sky, causing a collision between the Earth and the Moon. Or it could directly penetrate the Moon and then crash into the Earth. After all, in previous observations, the ancient starry sky corpse had already destroyed countless asteroid belts. But at this time, no one expected that the Moon would so easily take in the ancient corpse of the starry sky. Humanity survived. It was not until 2 years later that global spiritual energy revived. Endless spiritual energy began to emerge from the Moon and flow towards the Earth. Maybe it was brought by the ancient corpse, or maybe it was brought by the ancient sword. But there is no doubt that since that ancient corpse in the starry sky, the entire human civilization has entered a new era. Since the global spiritual energy revival, humans are no longer the rulers of the Earth. The huge number of animals and the oceans that cover 70% of the Earth's surface. This makes them the biggest beneficiaries of the revival of spiritual energy. The speed of human evolution in spiritual energy is far less than the mutation and evolution of wild animals in nature. Especially when countless nuclear weapons and the entire human world's foundation were all used to bomb the ancient corpse in the starry sky. Humans have lost their deterrent weapons and are no longer qualified to fight against the alien beasts. Countless exotic beasts around the world began to rise one after another. Humans began to be driven away and became food for strange beasts. This period is the era of great catastrophe. Since the beginning of the cataclysm, the global population has dropped sharply from 7 billion to 3 billion today. Humanity has fallen into an unprecedented low period. Driven by the strange beasts, countless cities and lands had to be abandoned. In the end, humans curled up on the Eurasian continent and erected a tall wall. The wall was filled with particle beam weapons, also known as laser weapons, which were the strongest weapons that humans had to resist alien beasts. The remaining humans, led by the Chinese civilization, established the Earth Federation. A new order was established, and all mankind was concentrated in it. There are 8 main cities: Qian, Can, Zhen, Jin, Sun, Li, Kun, and Dui. And each main city has 100 base cities. At this time, one of the 8 main cities, Liqing, is the 023 base city. Since tomorrow is the Global Unified College Entrance Examination. On Linwu Avenue, it is extremely lively. There was a constant stream of maglev trains and students coming and going, all discussing matters related to tomorrow's exam. Linwu Avenue is a main road leading to Linwu High School. At this time, a Rolls-Royce's latest model of maglev car stopped on a low-altitude track, looking at the people passing by. Inside the car, a figure whispered, "Uncle Lee, tell me, is it possible that a person could suddenly disappear in just 0.3 seconds, and then reappear with an extremely strong aura?" In a car full of modern technology, a woman with a noble temperament and delicate face said softly, "Your Highness, even if you have reached the 5 ceilings of the human race today, the Yuheng realm, you still cannot tear the space apart, and you cannot suddenly disappear, right?" Inside the car, a man who looked like a butler said respectfully, "Maybe I saw it wrong." Zhao Lingjie said to herself, she noticed that figure accidentally. "I simply think he's handsome, and stands out in the crowd. But just a few tenths of a second later, the aura suddenly became incredibly powerful, from a mere hidden yuan realm to a realm that she could not understand now, and her temperament also changed drastically. Who has caught your attention? Do you need to call him in for questioning? A man with a strong aura inside the car who seemed to be a bodyguard asked. Okay, remember to be polite later. Wait. Boom. Just as Zhao Lingjie was about to nod in agreement, a feeling of fear suddenly surged into his heart. On the street, the handsome man with outstanding temperament looked up and glanced at her casually. Zhao Lingjie was certain that the man's gaze, as deep as the starry sky, seemed to have seen through the special reflective glass and saw the scene inside the car. Look at her. Is this a warning? Zhao Lingjie's hair stood on end. How many years had it been since she had felt this way? Ever since she was promoted to the Yaoguang realm and became a course student at the Starry Sky Academy. I remember the last time I faced a human ceiling. Your Highness? The black-clad bodyguard asked doubtfully. With your status as a prince, it would be easy for you to meet someone from a small county town. And according to their Highness' usual style, rewards are inevitable. And any random reward is a great opportunity for ordinary people. Don't bother disturbing others, Zhao Lingjie said, suppressing her inner throbbing. Yes. The bodyguard in black was stunned for a moment, and although he was a little confused, he still nodded. Who is this person? When the feeling of being watched disappeared, Zhao Lingjie mustered up her courage and looked toward the street again. But at this moment, where is that handsome guy? She looks younger than me, and she's wearing the Lingwu High School uniform. How is this possible? Zhao Lingjie muttered quietly. The more she thought about it, the more she doubted her life. But the feeling just now did not seem fake. It was the early warning and intuition as a warrior that she had gained from countless life and death experiences. Uncle Li immediately retrieved the archives of Lingwu High School students, Zhao Lingjie said. Your Highness, have you also started to pay attention to this year's college entrance examination? In the entire 023 base city, there is only one student named Luo Shi who has the hope of being admitted to the Starry Sky Academy. It's not her, it's a male student. Go on, remember to pick a handsome one. Starry Sky Academy. Su Mo murmured, looking at the maglev car suspended in the low sky. His eyes flickered slightly. I already recognized the clothes the girl was wearing. Starry Sky Academy was the school he once admired the most, but now... Shaking his head, Su Mo didn't think any more about it. After a casual glance, he turned into a shadow and left. Su Mo did not realize how much uproar his unconscious aura had caused in the other party's heart. Luo Shi Su Xian. I'm back. Su Mo was flying high in the sky of the main world, heading towards home while looking at everything familiar in front of him. Even with his state of mind, deep ripples could not help but appear in his eyes that were as bright as the starry sky. After all, who would have thought that in just 0.3 seconds, he had already stayed in another world for a full 23 years. Born again, already invincible. Is your body still the same as when you were 17? Even the clothes you wear haven't changed? Su Mo looked at himself and said. However, the temperament of the whole body is completely different, like a peerless sword, with its edge fully exposed. After all, after 23 years of accumulation and precipitation in another world. He has grown from an ordinary student at the third level of Hidden Yuan in the main world to the savior of another world and a world-famous swordsman. Ding, considering the different sizes of the worlds, the level system is being re-evaluated. As he was sighing, he suddenly heard a system prompt, and Su Mo had to glance at the panel. Name Su Mo. Level 50 Broken Void / Jade Eternity Realm. Experience 0/10000000. Reputation 10. Skills Tianqin Sword Technique, Wanjian Guizong, Holy Spirit Sword Technique, Chasing Stars and Chasing the Moon. Talent Sword Realm LV5 Sword Power. Items Luoshi Sword, Heavenly Favor 2, White Fox Mask, White Taoist Robe, green Taoist robe, special small pills, vigorous medicine, cure-all pills, purple jade flute, Qihong's sword, several strategy items. Evaluation, Overlord. Did he go directly from the maximum level to level 50? And shattering the void is actually the corresponding Yuheng realm. Su Emo yells. After the cataclysm, the psychic age began. The levels of cultivation can be divided into Yinyuan, Dongming, Yaoguang, Kaiyang, Yuheng, Tianquan, Tianji, Tianxian, and so on. Each realm is divided into 9 sections. The ceiling known to mankind at present is the Tianquan realm. The global renaissance of Reiki has only been going on for over 100 years, and the practice of Reiki is still in its infancy. The realms after Tianquan are only attainable in theory, and no one has yet explored the way forward. The Yuheng realm is already the top existence under the ceiling of human beings. Even if they leave the city, as one of the 8 main cities, the city lord is only at the Yuheng realm. The lord of the base city is Kaiyang. If the ceiling is not exceeded, Yuheng realm is already considered a truly top-notch master. Corresponding to the world of reincarnation, it means breaking the void. However, in the same realm, they are in different worlds. One is level 50 and the other is level 100. This is enough to show that the strength of the main world is at least twice that of the reincarnation world. All I can say is that under the influence of that mysterious ancient corpse, the potential of the earth is truly amazing. As for the mysterious ancient corpse, its level is definitely more than level 100. Thinking of the mysterious ancient corpse, Su Emo whispered again. For a moment, there was an indescribable pressure. A corpse that had been dead for who knows how many years could change the cultivation environment of an entire world just by its remaining breath. So how terrifying would it be when she was still alive? And what about the sword that could nail her to death? The starry sky outside the earth seems to be far more brilliant and vast than he had imagined. I don't know when I can go to the moon and use the system to check the level of the ancient corpse. Su Emo thought secretly. However, now, any aircraft heading to the moon will be affected by the magnetic field of the mysterious ancient corpse, causing the aircraft to malfunction. Humans have lost the ability to go to the moon, unless they fly there on their own. Su Emo shook his head and stopped thinking about it. The next moment, the system prompt came again. Ding! Since the cultivation systems of the 2 worlds are not unified, in order to facilitate the host to better cultivate in the main world, it will be adjusted to the cultivation system of this world in 5 minutes. Adjust the system. Su Emo yells. After returning to the main world, he discovered that this world basically did not have the true chi that existed in the samsara world. Instead, there is a more powerful energy, spiritual power. However, the tendons and veins in his body are all full of true energy, and it is still unknown when he can transform it into spiritual power. The existence of the system at this time is just right. 5 minutes? Then be a sword immortal for one last time. Use the power of the reincarnation world. Su Emo himself. The next moment, after a slight hesitation, he took out a set of clothes from his space ring and put them on. It was the white Taoist robe he wore in his previous life, and he was also wearing a white fox mask that he had taken out of the treasure chest before. After all, he is not yet invincible. The authorities have all his information on file, and if he suddenly becomes so powerful, it will still attract too much attention. So it's better to keep a low profile for now. Swoosh! Soon, he changed into the clothes of the reincarnation world, and he seemed to have become the peerless swordsman again. He simply increased his speed to the extreme and disappeared in a beam of light. When he appeared again, he was already in his own courtyard, in Pingu Community. Pingu Community is a low-rent housing community built with funds raised by the government and distributed free of charge to civilians. The utilization rate of the land is almost at its limit. Each residential building is like a huge square concrete pillar, with no consideration for layout and sunlight. Sumo's home is on the 32nd floor of a 42-story residential building. A small shrimp from the Nine Caves realm. Su Emo stood in the void. His martial arts perception instantly covered the entire residential building, and in a short, while he detected the black-clad men who were ambushing at home clearly. To him in the past, this enemy was like a catastrophic disaster. Nowadays, it can be destroyed easily. I don't know if these men in black were careless and left the windows of the room open. Su Mo flashed and flew in through the window, and arrived in the room. Pick up Su Xian. You, how come you? Looking at the figure who appeared in front of him in an instant, wearing a white Taoist robe and a white fox mask, with an ethereal and otherworldly temperament. The 9 men in black were shocked. This is the 36th floor. The door was clearly locked by us, so how did this person get in? Could it have flown in through the window? Facing Su Mo, who suddenly appeared and picked up the target's sister. The men in black were so shocked that they were speechless. However, their professional qualities as killers made them react quickly. Just when we were thinking about working together to launch a fatal attack. But the next moment, an overwhelming force came towards them. So that they couldn't move at all. Su Mo picked up Su Xian and found that his sister was fine. He breathed a sigh of relief. He carried her around the waist like a princess, and walked towards the bed without even looking at the 2 men in black. As early as the moment he stepped into the room, he had already secretly released the sword Heart Hell. The entire room has been enveloped by his sword domain, and no one can escape his control. Su Xian, long time no see, you're still the same. Not very smart and flat-chested. After carrying Su Xian to the bed, Su Mo murmured to himself, his eyes full of sighs. There was also a feeling of being touched to see my family again after so many years. His eyes looked straight at Su Xian, as if he wanted to remember the girl's appearance in his heart. Whenever he said this in the past, the girl in front of him would definitely jump up and scream, and would not stop until she chased him around the house, calling him, "Stupid brother," while beating him. But unfortunately, the girl in front of him was already unconscious and could not hear what he said, so he naturally could not see the familiar scene in his memory. The girl lying on the bed was extremely beautiful at such a young age. He was wearing the school uniform of Linwu Junior High School. His upper body was flat without any ups and downs. The pleated skirt on her lower body is eye-catching, showing a pair of slender legs that are extremely inconsistent with her height. Every inch of her exposed skin was white and delicate, like white jade. The facial features are extremely exquisite, as if they were carefully carved by God with great effort. Every contour is perfect and breathtakingly beautiful. At this moment, she was lying with her eyes closed, her long eyelashes quietly stretched, and her sleeping face was sweet and comfortable. This is a beautiful girl who looks like she came out of a comic book. She looks about 70% similar to Su Mo. Su Mo thought about it, took out a physical strengthening pill from the system backpack and gave it to Su Xian. It has no other use except that it can slightly strengthen Su Xian's physique and help Su Xian wake up quickly. Oh? Did they all commit suicide? Which family sent these assassins? Or is it some assassin organization? Su Mo turned around and found that all 9 men in black had committed suicide by taking poison. Some of the assassins trained by the big families, when their missions failed, they would swallow the poison placed in their mouths and commit suicide to prevent the enemy from finding out the news. Some killer organizations also choose to do this in order to avoid exposing their employers' information. This is a difficult situation. Rats in the dark are the most annoying. The reason why we didn't kill them immediately was to find out who was the mastermind behind it. But now it seems that before he could even start, the other party had already committed suicide. Boom! Just when Su Mo was secretly thinking about whether to save the person and give him some comfort. In the distance, above the city, a powerful energy wave suddenly came. Under the pressure of this powerful aura, the entire city seems to be in danger. Roar! What followed was the passionate beast roar that echoed over the entire city. Crack! Amid this high-pitched and piercing cry, a terrifying shock wave came. It directly shattered the glass on the windows of many high-rise buildings. And with Su Mo there, the protective sword intent on his body spontaneously blocked the attack, and the entire building was safe and sound. Su Mo looked out the window with interest. I don't know when, but at the end of the sky outside the window, a large dark cloud was flying towards here. But with Sumo's eyesight, he found that it was not a dark cloud at all. They are densely packed and countless flying monsters. This is strange beasts attacking the city. Nowadays, the entire human city has erected high walls, and land beasts can basically not sneak in. The only ones that can break into the city deep inside the human heartland are flying monsters. It is also very likely to be the king among flying beasts. The defense force of this small base city is obviously not enough to resist this catastrophe, otherwise they would not allow the strange beasts to fly into the hinterland. It was unknown how long it would take to send strong reinforcements from the main city. During this period, there was enough time for the monsters to massacre the city several times. It just so happens that there are only 3 minutes left before I have to say goodbye to the power of the reincarnation world. So let's come back to save this world, Su Emo whispered softly. After confirming that Su Xian was fine, Su Emo had already stepped on the soul-devouring sword, looking at the dark clouds that seemed like the end of the world, and turned into a ray of light to meet them. Just now, that person saved me. As soon as Su Emo left, Su Xian woke up in a daze. He was dressed in white and wore a mask. Although I can't see his appearance, he is definitely a handsome guy, Su Xian murmured, her heart firmly fixed on the figure. Then he looked at the bodies of the men in black scattered all over the room. Su Xian was startled and quickly called the police. Boom! A large number of pterosaurs appeared in the sky above the entire city. Leading the group is a king of exotic beasts at the Yuheng realm. Woo! The city was blasted with shrill air raid sirens. The low-flying maglev vehicles have begun to evacuate from the high altitude. However, since the college entrance examination is tomorrow, there is too much traffic on the street. In just such a short period of time, casualties have occurred. Oh my god, it's a group of pterosaurs. Damn it! It's not the season for beasts to attack yet. Why are they attacking now? That's a strange beast. Who told you about the flood season? If it's hungry, it will come out to look for food, right? What should we do now? Who in our small county can resist the pterosaur herd? Damn it! My child is taking the college entrance exam tomorrow. Why are there pterosaurs attacking the city today? How could such a bad thing happen to us? Looking at the densely packed flying beasts in the sky, everyone was in despair. Normally, it is very rare for strange beasts to appear directly and attack human areas. After all, they have to break through layers of defense. But the pterosaur herds are an exception, because they fly high enough to avoid most of the anti-aircraft weapons deployed in the city. The most advanced particle beam weapons are basically deployed at the borders, main cities, and medium and large base cities for deterrence purposes. Ordinary small base cities basically don't have to think about it. The pterosaur group has always been very famous among flying beasts. In terms of threat level, it is enough to be ranked in the top 3. It is an extremely difficult group among the flying beasts. They are strong individually and very good at cooperation. Every ordinary pterosaur beast is at least at the Dongming realm, and it is difficult for ordinary warriors to deal with it. Coupled with its extremely fast flying speed, it is almost difficult to hit with psychic weapons. Such a herd of beasts coming to a small base city is simply a disaster for the city. At this time, in the City Lord's mansion of 023 Base City. Your Highness, the City Lord has received the news. It is expected that support troops will be dispatched within half an hour. Team 003, the Phoenix Squad, will come to support us. One of the subordinates reported respectfully. Have the local troops been dispatched? The City Lord, who had already entered middle age, nodded in understanding and asked. They have already been dispatched, but this time, the leader of the pterosaur herd is a pterosaur king. The subordinate said hesitantly. Pterosaur beast king. In other words, we still have to hold out for another half an hour? The middle-aged city lord sighed deeply and felt extremely tired. He seemed to be 10 years older all of a sudden. With the presence of the pterosaur king, the local strength of their county alone is not enough to resist. He and the district commander of the local army were only at the Kaiyang realm. He was at the lower third stage, while the district commander was at the upper third stage. But the pterosaur beast king is at the Yuheng realm. Why did it have to be the day before the college entrance examination? And why did they choose Showa Prefecture? The middle-aged city lord murmured. The college entrance examination ranking of each city is extremely important, which determines the number and proportion of talents a city can send. In this era of spiritual revival, genius is more important than anything else. As long as a city has a student who can be admitted to a top university, then the ranking of this city will rise sharply, which will directly determine the allocation and supply of resources to this city by the human high-level officials. He is now very worried. Will this sudden disaster affect tomorrow's exam? But I heard that His Highness from the Starry Sky Academy has come to our Showa Prefecture. Maybe we can still hold out for half an hour. Thinking of this, the middle-aged city lord was determined again, and hope was burning in his heart. When the Tianhuang team arrives, all disasters will be resolved. Pass the order down, send out all the city guards and law enforcement agencies to resist the monsters and fight to the death. I want to fight in person. Even though he was only at the Kaiyang realm, or the lower third stage of the Kaiyang realm, he was almost a piece of cake for the pterosaur beast king. But the whole city is at a critical juncture of life and death, and he has to fight. Your Highness, the king appeared among the pterosaurs this time. It is not appropriate to make an enemy. We should retreat first. Inside the Rolls-Royce train, the butler-like man said with a worried look on his face. At this moment, all the maglev cars that were still hovering in the vast sky had disappeared. Those who didn't have time to evacuate were already repelled by the pterosaurs. There was only one car that was still in the sky, but the pterosaurs seemed to ignore the maglev car. Because this maglev car has already been equipped with the latest stealth technology. Uncle Lee isn't the reason why I became a core member of the Starry Sky Academy to protect humanity at this moment? Zhao Lingjie shook her head. But your Highness's life, how can it be at the mercy of them? The butler wanted to say something else. A core member of the Star Academy will almost certainly become the backbone of humanity in the future. It would be really not worth dying in a small siege. Stop talking about it, Uncle Lee. Aren't their lives lives? Zhao Lingjie said, her voice frighteningly calm. Now, fight to the death. A herd of pterosaurs and a king. In a civilian house in Haiyuan community. The girl in high school uniform stood quietly in front of the house. His eyes were as clear as water as he looked indifferently at the dense flock of pterosaurs in the sky. He even passed through layers of obstacles and saw the king who led the beasts. Her exquisite face showed no fear or alarm, but was as calm as ever. There is a calmness that is not appropriate for this age. She has an extraordinary temperament. Even if she is wearing the simplest standard school uniform, she still looks different. Just standing there, she is so stunning. I don't know how he is doing. No, I have to go find him. She murmured to herself. When I think of that person, my emotions rarely fluctuate. Even if she was only at the 9th level of clairvoyance, rushing through the herd of pterosaurs would be a sure way to death. But at this moment, she couldn't care less. Just when everyone in 023 Base City was ready for a fatal battle. Brush! The whole world suddenly became as bright as day. A ray of sword light so bright that it was indescribable, carrying an unimaginable momentum of heaven and earth. Weaving through the dense herd of strange beasts. It was like a golden road of who knows how many miles long, sweeping straight towards the entire herd of alien dragon beasts. The whole city was eclipsed by this sword. Boom! Like a whirlwind of destruction, the huge herd of pterosaurs was chopped down directly. In an instant, a continuous rain of pterosaurs began to fall from the sky, and countless pterosaurs began to fall from the sky. In fact, there were very few pterosaur beasts that were directly destroyed by the sword light. Most of them were destroyed by the condensed invincible sword force. In the blink of an eye, only the strongest pterosaur king was left. The pterosaur king seemed to sense something was wrong and began to flee in panic. As the pterosaur herds in the sky have dissipated a lot. Everyone saw it. I saw the figure in white, standing in the sunset, with her feet on the void, with an unparalleled elegance. Even though he was wearing a mask and his face couldn't be seen clearly. But the temperament he exudes alone gives people a sense of peerless charm. He slowly drew his sword. The moment he grasped the sword, a surge of sword intent began to soar into the sky. Brush! Another sword strike that made the heaven and earth pale in comparison. The sword energy that was in a state of panic all day long, with a sharp edge that could sweep away everything. In an instant, the Pterosaur King, which was several miles away, was split into two. Without even the chance to struggle, the Pterosaur King's split body began to fall. With one sword, he killed a group of pterosaurs. With another sword, he killed the Yuheng Realm Beast King. The world is silent at this moment. Which human ceiling passed by? This is what everyone thinks. What? We were planning to have a big fight, but this is it? This is the beast from the Yuheng Realm? Why is it so weak? Suemo, standing in the void in a fluttering white robe, couldn't help but mutter. This is too overwhelming. In fact, it's not that the monsters are too weak. In fact, monsters of the same level are often stronger than humans. All I can say is that Sumo's swordsmanship is too strong, and his combat power is terrifyingly strong. The sword technique that Suemo learned was the most advanced sword technique in the previous reincarnation world after thousands of years of accumulation of martial arts. Although the potential of the reincarnation world is not as high as that of the main world, its martial arts and swordsmanship are much stronger. After all, the spiritual energy of the main world has only been revived for a short time, and the martial arts created by oneself are naturally far inferior to the development and evolution of the reincarnation world over thousands of years. And Suemo is a freak among freaks in the reincarnation world, and his understanding of swordsmanship is at the forefront of this world. It is the same in any world, not to mention that sword cultivators are first in killing. The sword art is far beyond what this world can understand. This is why Suemo can easily kill the monsters of the same realm. With my current combat power, I think I can definitely reach the ceiling of human strength. Suemo couldn't help but feel a little dizzy. As Suemo finished speaking, the next moment. Fellow Taoists, thank you for your help in killing the king of the strange beasts, thus saving this city from disaster. A sound, like thunder, came from far away in the sky. Soon a figure appeared at the end of the distant field of vision. But the next moment, when he looked again, he had appeared in front of Suemo. Sumo's pupils shrank. What he said was true. This person is the real ceiling of mankind. With one sword, the heaven and earth are eclipsed. Everyone who was prepared to fight to the death was shocked to find that they were fine. This disaster that threatened the entire city seemed to be over before it even began. All of this was because of the figure in the sky that looked like a banished immortal. Oh my God! Who is that human ceiling? Could it be the most mysterious Taoist priest Wan Yi? How is that possible? Taoist Wan Yi doesn't play with swords. Isn't he a specialist in array formations? That's true. Could it be the Dragon King? What a bullshit Dragon King! The Dragon King is extremely high profile. He usually likes to smile crookedly, and his temperament is evil and detached. How could this person, whose elegant temperament cannot be concealed even with a white fox mask, be the Dragon King? It's really strange. Among the human ceiling, no one plays with swords. The pedestrians on the road were in an uproar and talking about the matter. In their opinion, being able to kill the king of strange beasts in the Yuheng realm with one sword is the ceiling of mankind. At this time, the City Lord's mansion. Lord City Lord, there is no need to send out the army. The herd is over. A city guard rushed in and reported. What? It's over? Could it be that Team Tianhuang has arrived? The middle-aged city lord was shocked, and his beard trembled. No, the Tianhuang team has not arrived yet. Strange, why would the pterosaur herd retreat on their own initiative? Reporting to the city lord, the pterosaur beasts did not retreat, but have been completely wiped out. The subordinate said respectfully. Do you know what you are talking about? Lying about military intelligence is a serious crime. There is a king in the pterosaur group, How can he be wiped out? The middle-aged city lord scolded dissatisfiedly. They were indeed wiped out. To be more precise, they were killed by one man and one sword. A supreme warrior suddenly appeared in the sky. He destroyed the beasts with one sword and the king of the alien beasts with another sword. The subordinate said respectfully, his voice trembling a little, feeling incredible. Which human ceiling is passing by? The middle-aged city lord was shocked. He is not one of the 5 great war gods known to mankind. He is a sword cultivator. One of the 8 main cities leeching. At this time, in the huge main city-based city, the core power institution is the city lord's mansion. Your Excellency, the disaster beast problem in base city 023 has been resolved. Oh? Is the Tianhuang team so efficient? The middle-aged man was slightly surprised. It wasn't the Tianhuang team that took action, but a sword cultivator who passed by. The subordinate said respectfully. Sword cultivator? Do you know what you are talking about? The middle-aged man raised his voice slightly. Your Excellency, it was indeed a sword cultivator. He defeated the group of pterosaurs with just one sword. It is estimated that he has reached the heavenly power realm. The sword cultivator is the best at killing, and is almost invincible at the same level. That person may not be at the Tianquan level. The middle-aged man shook his head, but then sighed. But whether it is Yuhing or Tianquan, now that there is one more sword cultivator, the entire human world will be greatly changed. Pass the order and tell the Tianhuang team not to come back. This time, their mission is to serve as the invigilators for Showa County. They will be responsible for all matters related to the Showa College entrance examination tomorrow, and by the way, see if they can find that senior sword cultivator. Yes. 023 base city territory high in the sky. Rolls-Royce maglev train. At this time, the people in the car were sweating profusely. Under that sword, they had just experienced a severe life-and-death crisis. He almost died in the fight against the wave of alien beasts, but died at the hands of his own people. Your Highness? Your Highness? Are you okay? The butler asked with a worried look on his face. I'm fine. The senior had obviously discovered us. His sword passed us in that instant. Zhao Lingjie pretended to be calm, but the beads of sweat on her smooth forehead still showed that she was very uneasy inside. Thinking of that sword that made the world pale in comparison, she still felt a lingering fear. Especially when the maglev train was clearly shrouded in sword light, the pterosaurs around it all died one after another. Fortunately, the car is fine. What kind of absolute confidence and control over one's own swordsmanship must this be? Zhao Lingjie didn't dare to think further. This method was far beyond her understanding. Strange, that senior's aura, why does it feel very similar to that handsome high school student I met today? Zhao Lingjie muttered again. Then I just thought it was my own illusion. In Pingu community, Su Xian was standing in front of her balcony. Just now, she witnessed with her own eyes the extremely dazzling sword that swept across the strange beast from high in the sky. It's so handsome. Wow, that big brother in white in the sky is so handsome. With one sword, everything is annihilated. The whole city is saved from fire and water. This is the sword immortal. Su Xian held her hands to her chest and said with infatuated eyes. And he looks like the person who came to my house to save me, wearing the same white clothes, and a white fox mask. Could it really be him? Is he so powerful? Su Xian murmured to herself. Then he suddenly thought of something and muttered. Humph, stupid brother, you didn't even know your smart and lovely sister was kidnapped, and now you haven't come home yet, and I don't know where you went to play. Just wait, I'll tell Sister Laoshi about this when I see her. Thinking of her good-for-nothing brother, Su Xian couldn't help but raise her pretty face and frown her delicate little brows. She really worried too much about her brother, and at such a young age she had to endure pain that she shouldn't have to endure. Oh, if only the big brother who broke into my house and saved me today could be my brother! In front of a civilian house in Haiyuan community. It seems there is no need to look for him. The woman in white couldn't help but mutter to herself as she watched the pterosaur herd being wiped out in the blink of an eye. What a powerful sword! Then she glanced at the figure standing in the air with his hands behind his back. Even she couldn't help but sigh. That sword made the world look at it sideways. Compared with these, what she was more concerned about was the aura that the figure exuded, which was vaguely familiar. If it weren't for the huge difference in temperament and strength, the woman in white would have almost thought it was him. She hesitated for a moment, then took out her cell phone. When I opened it, it was the SMS panel. There was a text message that had been edited but not sent. I think we need to calm down a little. The contact at the top reads, Sue Mo. After hesitating for a while, Luo, she deleted the text messages one by one and started editing them again. A group of pterosaurs just came. Are you okay? After hesitating for a long time, Luo Shi's slender white fingers stayed on the send button, and he was reluctant to move. Finally, I sighed again and still didn't choose to send it. Forget it, the herd of strange beasts was pacified quickly this time, so he should be fine. And, it seems like he has broken up with me. The sudden attack by strange beasts on the city in Showa Prefecture was also broadcast live via the global satellite system. When that peerless figure in white killed the herd of strange beasts with one sword, the whole world was shocked. At this time, Suemo was naturally unaware of the speculation and unrest among the people of 023 Base City. He was completely stunned by the sudden visitor in front of him. Tianquan Realm! Sumo's pupils shrank, and through the powerful fluctuations of the other party's aura, he sensed the other party's realm. Looking at this human ceiling that came from the sky, he had originally thought of confessing his feelings to Luo Shi while there was only 1 minute left in the conversion period. In the end, I just casually complained about the poor combat power of the alien beasts in this world, and thought that they should be able to touch the ceiling of humans. As a result, it really appeared. Name, Xiao Tians. Age 51. Level, 62, second stage of heavenly power. Title, Dragon King God of War. Skills, God of War Domain, Fulong Jingyu Palm, Thunder Flash, Great Mighty Heavenly Dragon. Evaluation, one of the ceilings of human beings, the Crooked-Mouthed Dragon King. I glanced at the data panel of the person who came. Suemo finally knew who this person was. This is one of the 5 ceilings of mankind, the Dragon King of the Temple of War God, Xiao Tians. Fellow Taoist, I love swordsmanship. There are not many swordsmen left in the world today. I haven't asked for your name yet? I wonder which sect you are from? Xiao Tians raised his hand to edit, without being arrogant, and asked. You can call me Sword Immortal. As for my sect, I am just a casual cultivator and I don't belong to any sect. Suemo answered, his ink-black eyes under the white fox mask staring at Xiao Tians calmly. Fellow Taoist, you are joking. Could it be that you are from the Shushan Sword sect? Xiao Tians' mouth twisted. Obviously he didn't believe it. After all, the reason why humans mastered the methods of spiritual practice was that they were passed down from some ancient schools. That is led by China. The old Taoist priest of Mount Longhu, Taoist one of Mount Wudong, the old antique of Jingyi sect, and the Taoist priest of Mount Mao. During the catastrophe, only China had the most complete method of spiritual practice. Therefore, from that time on, China instantly became the backbone force in resisting alien beasts. The first continent to be conquered by the alien beasts was Europe and America, because they had no ancient heritage and could not master the secret methods. The United States, a superpower that once dominated the world, was the first to face destruction. They had to carry out large-scale population migration and eventually fled to the Eurasian continent. Therefore, after the establishment of the new order for the entire human race, Chinese civilization has always been at the forefront. By unifying and integrating all the ancient secret books, the current secret method of spiritual power cultivation was formed. The 5 major ceilings of human beings are only official forces. Some forces with ancient heritage, such as Shushan sect, Longhushan, and Wudong Mountain. Some of their forces have not yet been integrated into the official system. Now, It is only too normal for a sword cultivator with extremely high combat power to appear. I am not from the Shushan sect. Su Mo head. Why does this Dragon King god of war like to imagine things secretly? Well, since you don't want to say more, I won't ask any more questions. I wonder if you are willing to join my war god temple? Xiao Tians did not force it, but then changed the subject and asked. The Temple of War God is a special power agency affiliated with the highest official level, which was established specifically for the purpose of fighting against the King of Strange Beasts. Almost all of them are composed of the strongest fighting force of mankind. The basic threshold to join the Temple of War God is the Yuheng realm. The War God Temple has 5 Hall Masters, and each Hall Master is the ceiling of humanity, the Tianquan realm. Fellow Taoists, don't rush to refuse. Accept this War God order. It will be convenient for you to act in the secular world in the future. Seeing that Su Mo seemed hesitant, Xiao Tians said again. He then threw a purple token to Su Mo. This is the Temple Master's token of my Temple of War God. Holding this token, you are equivalent to the Temple Master, and your authority level is equivalent to that of the Lord of a city. The Temple of War God welcomes fellow Taoists to join us at any time. In that case, thank you very much. Su Mo said no more, took the token and said. Then he said goodbye to Xiao Tians and left on his flying sword. What a great swordsman! Xiao Tians tilted his mouth and looked at Su Mo's leaving figure, his eyes flashing with thought. Now that I have received the War God order, I don't have to worry about not being able to help when the alien beasts come. Xiao Tians made up his mind. Several ancient sects have already integrated most of their power into the official system. Only some of the inherited fire remains in their own sect. It is impossible for the authorities to allow them to integrate all of them into the system without leaving any inheritance. But at this time, there is another ceiling walking in the world. That's 2 different opinions. There's still 1 minute left. There's still time. Saying goodbye to Xiao Tians, Su Mo whispered softly. The next moment, it was already flying towards that familiar place. The closer we got to that place, the more anxious and nervous we became. There is a feeling of homesickness. This is a feeling that I have never had before when I saw Su Xian. After all, his good-for-nothing sister is still his sister no matter what. But Luoxi is different. He has broken up with Luoxi. Su Mo took a deep breath, hesitated for a long time, and then changed his clothes back. I changed into the Lingwu High School uniform again. At this sight, even her temperament became a little immature. It seems like I have returned to that year and that month when I was young. When we were about to reach Luoxi's house, the system prompted us. The cultivation is about to be transformed, please be prepared. Ready, transform? Su Mo said. The next moment, a mysterious aura began to spread over his body. All the strength and true energy that he had cultivated in the reincarnation world were transformed into the spiritual energy of the reincarnation world at this moment. There are also differences between each level of cultivation, all of which are transformed at this moment. The exchange ratio between true energy and spiritual energy has basically reached 100 to 1. Countless amounts of true energy passed away before a trace of spiritual energy was gained. In a short while, it was completely transformed into the cultivation system of the main world. Name Su Mo. Level 51, 61, Yuheng Level 1, / Tianquan Level 1. Experience 0/10,000. Reputation 100. Skills Tianqin Sword Technique, Wanjian Guizong, Holy Spirit Sword Technique, Chasing Stars and Chasing the Moon. Talent Sword Realm LV5 Sword Power. Items Luoxi Sword, Heavenly Favor 2 White Fox Mask, Special Small Pills, Vigorous Medicine, Cure-All Pills, Purple Jade Flute, Special Lollipops 100, Ice Soul Flower 100, Xinhong Sword, and some strategy props. Evaluation Unparalleled Combat Power. Has it really become the Jade Heng realm after the transformation of Shattered Void? Su Mo yells. However, the real combat power is not much different from when using True Qi. I can directly fight in a higher realm and become invincible in Yuheng realm. I can even fight against Tianquan. Su Emo murmured, his eyes flickering. The terrifying thing about sword cultivators is that they are not only invincible in their realm, but they can also fight against opponents of higher levels. When a swordsman fights an enemy, he usually only needs to strike out with one sword, and the outcome is decided with just one sword. The reason why he is so much stronger than people of the same realm in the main world is because of the 3 inheritances of the sword sect in the Samsara world. The 10,000 swords return to the sect, the Holy Spirit sword technique, the star chasing and moon chasing, and the Tianqin sword technique he created himself. These are all the most advanced martial arts in the world, and even in the main world they are the top ones. More importantly, he practiced sword skills day after day in the reincarnation world. This brought his sword skills to an extremely high level. This is the precious wealth he has truly accumulated in the world of reincarnation. The realm of Kendo is more about a person's understanding of the sword. Once you have mastered it, it is mastered and cannot be weakened. The powerful sword realm and martial arts skills are the capital that enables him to cross 10 levels and fight across borders. It seems that the martial arts in this world are much worse than I thought. Su Emo yells. But that's true. How many years has it been since the spiritual energy in the main world was revived? Its combat power is definitely not as good as the thousands of years of accumulation in the reincarnation world. I shook my head and stopped thinking about it. Soon, Su Emo arrived at Luoshi's door. When that peerless figure stood before him again after 23 years, he forgot to breathe for a moment. Luoshi. Haven't seen you for a long time. Su Emo murmured, lost in thought for a long time. The beautiful girl in front of me was wearing the standard school uniform of Linwu High School. She wore a black JK top, with perfect curves and straight black hair fluttering in the wind. She looked very energetic. She wore a black pleated skirt and black stockings, revealing a pair of long legs that looked bright and dazzling in the sunset. She was quiet and indifferent, with a clean, fair face as white as cream. Her smileless face was inlaid with ink-black pupils, as calm as an ancient well without ripples, and she was looking at him indifferently. She looks exactly like Xiaoluoshi, but her temperament is completely different and cold. Su Emo? What are you doing here? Luoshi had just left the house, and when she saw Su Emo suddenly appear, she looked a little surprised. But he immediately returned to his usual calmness. He had a lot to say, but after hearing Luoshi's cold words, it felt like a thorn in his throat, and he was speechless for a long time. I have already. Su Emo really wants to say that I am already the quasi-ceiling of humanity, and we can definitely be together. He has already caught up with Luoshi's level and is completely worthy of Luoshi. But at this time, he took a look at Luoshi's information. Name, Luoshi. Level, 19, 29 Dongming 9th stage. Qualifications? Talent? Skill? Evaluation, a mortal who went against the flow to defeat the immortals. He is the most brilliant person in history. His talent is unrivaled in the heavens, and he has been amazing for ages. Because he is too amazing, it is impossible to explain. It has been confirmed that he is someone the host is not worthy of. Su Emo. Su Emo was completely confused. The first time I detected it, all I got were question marks. This is completely opposite to Luoshi in the other world. The only question mark about Luoshi in the other world is his level, and his ultimate combat power is unknown. But even the protagonist's halo and the innate holy body can be detected. As for Luoshi in front of him, he couldn't detect anything except his level. There is another one whose talent is astonishing throughout the ages. Su Emo also doesn't know what kind of amazing talent he has to deserve such an evaluation as the most amazing talent of all time. And what do you mean by system? My combat power is at the near ceiling of human beings. How come I am not worthy of it? Su Emo thought a little indignantly. This system must be deliberately attacking him. He and Luoshi are obviously a perfect match. But Luoshi's talent is indeed terrifying. He was clearly at the 9th stage of Hidden Yuan before? How did he suddenly become the 9th stage of Deep Clear? Could this be her true strength? What's even more terrifying is the ultimate combat power. It has directly surpassed the major realm, and can be compared with the Yuheng realm. Looking at the only level that Luo Shi showed, Su Emmo just felt messy in the wind. He has the heritage and background from another world, which enables him to have unparalleled combat power and fight across borders. But at this moment, Luo Shi was no worse than him in terms of his invincible combat power at the same level. Although it becomes more difficult to fight across borders as time goes on. Why do I feel like if I don't work harder, I'll be left behind by Luo Shi again? Looking at Luo Shi's terrifying talent, Su Emmo once again felt a sense of urgency. What do you want to say? Luo Shi frowned slightly and looked at him coldly. I want to say, Luo Shi, let's work hard together for tomorrow's exam. Su Emmo really wanted to say, why don't we just not break up? But when the words came to my lips, they became this sentence. It was really because Luo Shi's expression was too cold that he didn't know how to open his mouth for a moment. Luo Shi nodded lightly, then raised her eyebrows and asked, anything else? An old friend asked me to give you a sword. After a long time, Su Emmo calmed down and just looked at Luo Shi with complicated eyes, and said softly. He had never forgotten Xiao Luo Shi's instructions, the words, let this sword protect her and protect Master, still echoed in his ears. Brush. A loud sword sound rang out, and Su Emmo took out the Luo Shi sword that he had prepared for a long time from behind. As soon as Wu appeared, he excitedly circled around Luo Shi. Even Luo Shijian seemed to think that this person was very similar to Xiao Luo Shi. Don't be so quick to refuse. You have provided me with countless cultivation resources before. Either you accept this sword to repay me, or I will return those cultivation resources to you. Afraid that Luo Shi would refuse, Su Emmo said again. Don't mention those cultivation resources anymore. I never thought of taking back the things I gave you. Besides, how can those be compared to this sword? Luo Shi shook his head. But after a slight hesitation, he still took the sword. Old friend? Do I know him? Luo Shi held the Luo Shi sword, surprise flashed in his eyes, and asked. No! Su Emmo replied decisively. After all, that's you in another world. Okay, I like this sword very much. Where is he? I want to thank him in person. Luo Shi hesitated for a while and said. Looking at the two small words, Luo Shi, engraved on the hilt of the sword, my heart felt warmed. For some reason, this sword made her feel inexplicably familiar. No, you can't find her. She doesn't belong here. But there will always be a chance to meet her in the future. Su Emmo shook his head and said. Luo Shi nodded and didn't ask any more questions. However, the slightly raised corners of her mouth showed that she was in a good mood at the moment. It was obvious that in her heart she had already regarded this sword as a gift from Su Emmo. Neither of them spoke after that. The atmosphere was deadlocked. Luo Shi, can I hug you? After a long time, Su Emmo asked softly. Su Emmo, have you forgotten something? We have broken up. Sure enough, Luo Shi's relaxed mood had disappeared, and he quickly returned to his usual indifference and sneered. Su Emmo didn't know what to say for a moment. A bitter smile appeared on the corner of his mouth, and there was deep pain in his eyes. In the real world, Luo Shi still doesn't know how to get back together after breaking up with her boyfriend due to his own mistakes. And Luo Shi from the reincarnation world has also left him. I don't know when we will meet again, and the calls of Master and Father seem to never come back. I have been with Xiao Luo Shi in the reincarnation world for 6 years. When we separated, she cried bitterly. Isn't Su Emmo sad too? It's just that as a master, he has been suppressing it. At this moment, looking at the familiar face and completely different demeanor, the identical appearance made it impossible for him to tell them apart. In the past, I often saw Luo Shi's shadow on Xiao Luo Shi. Now isn't it the same if the situation is reversed? Su Mo didn't know whether the agreement with Xiao Luoxi could be fulfilled. After all, the distance between them is across the heavens and the worlds. Thinking of this, Su Mo couldn't help but feel a little sad. Forget it. For the sake of this sword, I won't do it again, Luoxi said. The next moment, a fragrance came over me, my body felt warm, and I felt a soft embrace in my arms. Luoxi hugged Su Mo gently, even slightly tiptoed, and stroked Su Mo's head so that he could lean against her neck. Because Luoxi could feel it. At this moment, Su Mo was really sad. With his head resting on Luoxi's flawless white neck, a few strands of hair gently touched the tip of Su Mo's nose, and a faint fragrance that belonged only to Luoxi wafted into his nose. The years are peaceful and time seems to have stopped at this moment. Holding Luoxi gently, Su Mo's heart at this moment was more peaceful than ever before. Luoxi is still the same Luoxi. Even after 23 years, she has not changed. I still can't help but feel sad for myself. Luoxi, let's not break up, right? Seeing that the atmosphere had reached this point, Su Mo couldn't help but ask. Luoxi's body stiffened and trembled slightly. Then he immediately pushed Su Mo away with a cold expression. Who said before that I was willful and unreasonable? You were never happy with me? I was just joking at that time. Who doesn't know that my Luoxi is the best? Su Mo scratched his head. Is this a joke? Luoxi sneered. That's because you're afraid of delaying Luoxi's training. And then we can break up? Luoxi questioned, gritting his teeth and pinching Su Mo's arm. At that time, I was worried that Luoxi would deliberately apply to the same school as me. You think I'd be as stupid as you? Luoxi was disdainful. If you're not stupid, then who is? Why is it that has to suppress his own cultivation? Su Mo said, unconvinced. Humph, I like it, I am happy with it. Anyway, I am the best at suppressing cultivation. Luoxi raised her incredibly beautiful little face proudly. Honey, give me a kiss. We haven't seen each other for 23 years. I miss you so much. Shut up, are you sick? Who is your wife? It's only been 6 minutes since you said you wanted to break up. Where did the 23 years come from? I feel like a year when I can't see my wife. A second without her feels like a long time. Get out, get out! After a long argument with Luoxi was still angry and never forgave him. Before leaving, Su Mo spoke. How about this, Luoxi, if I can get first place in the world in this college entrance examination, will you forgive me? Did you say something wrong? We should get back together after you pass the college entrance examination, right? Luoxi asked tentatively. No, I want to be number 1 in the world. Su Mo is full of confidence. Get lost, if you don't want to get back together, just say so. Luoxi was angry. He got first place? Are you kidding? Yin Yuan 3rd level? First place? Is it possible that I can really get first place in the exam? Looking at Su Mo's confident back as he left, Luoxi couldn't help but think with some doubt. Then he shook his head in self-denial. Do you want me to beat up all his competitors so badly that they can't compete? But he won't be able to get first place that way. Luoxi muttered softly, feeling somewhat troubled, and for a moment her beautiful eyebrows were furrowed together. Facing the night, Su Mo whistled all the way back home. He was obviously in a good mood at this time. Even though he said such harsh words when they broke up, Luoxi always couldn't help but forgive her. Although Su Mo and Luoxi are not like some couples who break up and get back together all the time, breaking up is as easy as playing. But it cannot be resolved by some misunderstandings. After all, they have been together for 3 years, and have been through so much together. This relationship is not something that anyone can give up easily. After the spiritual energy of the earth was revived, the night was still brightly lit. 3D virtual projections are everywhere, appearing in unexpected locations on the streets. From time to time, magnetic levitation vehicles speed through the air, most of which are artificial intelligence driven and unmanned. As soon as Su Mo arrived home, he found that the maglev cars belonging to the Public Security Bureau were deployed around. There are all over the sky and on the ground. The exclusive red and blue lights kept flashing from the warning lights of the maglev car. It seems that those men in black have been taken away by the authorities. Sumo's eyes flashed slightly, and he soon knew why these vehicles from the Public Security Bureau came. Is that Mr. Su? A beautiful female investigator with a heroic look came forward. She took out a photo and compared it. He saluted Su-mo, took out his ID and said, "Hello, Mr. Su. We are from the Public Security Bureau of Pingan Street, Showa County. We just received a call from your sister saying that a burglary occurred in your home. Please come with us and cooperate with the investigation." Good. Su-mo nodded in understanding. Then I got on the maglev car with the investigator. Soon, we arrived at the sheriff's office. In a closed and solemn room, a female investigator with neat short blonde hair, delicate features, a high-nosed bridge, and a mixed-race temperament came up to Su-mo to take a statement. As soon as the blonde investigator came up, she asked seriously, "Mr. Su, what's your name?" Su-mo. "Your surname is Su." Sumo's mouth twitched, and he still had to trust the professionalism of the Public Security Bureau. "Gender?" Su-mo. Looking at the beautiful investigator sitting upright, her pretty face was full of seriousness. Then I think of the many transgender people in the new era. Su-mo had no choice but to answer. "Male. Age? 17. School? Linwu High School. Telephone number? 134******731. With each question and answer, the investigator would write something down on paper, appearing extremely professional. After some rather meaningless questioning, we finally got to the point. "Okay, Mr. Su, may I ask if you have made any enemies recently?" "I have been a 3 good student in school for 3 consecutive years and I have always been law-abiding." "Then, Mr. Su, do you think you have anything that makes others jealous or envious? Does being too handsome count?" Su-mo blinked. The beautiful investigator blushed slightly, turned away, and did not deny it. Then he continued. "Mr. Su, our preliminary deduction is that these 9 men in black are part of the assassination organization of the Bloody Hand Group, which specializes in assassinating wealthy people. You are very likely to have offended someone. I'm sorry, because the assassins of the Blood Hand Group are all in single contact. We haven't found out who ordered them to carry out the assassination. Here is the information about the Bloody Hand Group. You can take a look." The beautiful investigator handed a stack of information to Su-mo. Su-mo took a quick look at the members of this organization. The leader was named Chin Hao, a fugitive whose whereabouts were secretive. He is suspected to be a strong man in the upper 3rd stage of Yaoguang realm. Most of his killers are members of the Dongming realm and are well known in the assassination world. The success rate of assassinating some small figures is still extremely high. According to the rules of the Blood Hand Group, they will generally only assassinate once. If the mission fails, they will not assassinate again. You and your family will not be in any danger for the time being. You and your sister are very lucky. You were saved by a human swordsman who just happened to pass by. If there are any follow-up clues, we will contact you as soon as possible." The beautiful investigator's hands never stopped. She looked up at Su-mo and said, then continued to write something in the notebook. "Okay, I understand." Su-mo nodded in understanding. Secretly memorized the names and appearances of these organization members. At least I know about these men in black, so my trip was not in vain. If I have the chance to meet him in the future and capture him alive, I will naturally know who is targeting him. This is my business card. If you find any suspicious person, please call me immediately." The beautiful investigator stopped writing, as if she had finally finished what she was doing, and nodded with satisfaction. Then he handed him a business card in a serious manner. Su-mo thanked her and took it. The beautiful investigator's name was Yang Anna. "Finally, I got some useful information. It seems that the other party is very professional." Thinking about his previous doubts, Su-mo couldn't help feeling a little guilty. Thinking of how her hands never stopped and how seriously and dedicatedly she was taking notes, Su Emo felt even more guilty. Before leaving, he casually glanced at the paper where young Anna had been taking notes. Then, Su Emo blinked doubtfully, and after confirming again and again, there was a picture of a handsome man with a handsome face. If not Su Emo, then who else could it be? Su Emo, is this how you take notes? After leaving the police station. Return home. Stupid brother, you finally decided to come back? Wow, if you don't come back, you won't be able to see your lovely sister again. As soon as she got home, Su Xian pounced on Su Emo and hung on him like a sloth. Two flawless and proud long legs were wrapped around Su Mo's waist. The little head was buried in Su Mo's neck, and the little nose twitched. Her big watery eyes were red, her long eyelashes fluttered, and crystal tears were rising and swirling in her eye sockets, as if she was feeling unspeakable grievance. He cupped Su Xian's delicate thighs with both hands, hugging her incredibly soft and light body. Walking towards the sofa, the only piece of furniture in the house, he threw Su Xian on the sofa and said, "Your brother, I was just busy saving the world. I'm busy." At the same time, he messed up Su Xian's beautiful hair, which had been carefully tidied up. Looking at Su Xian's hair that looked like a chicken coop, Su Emo nodded with satisfaction. "Yeah, that's good. It's much more comfortable to watch this way." Su Xian looked at Su Emo with resentment on her face. I had tried so hard to hold back my tears, but thanks to Su Mo's persistence, they finally flowed. "Woo woo woo woo, you're just lying to a kid, and you say you're saving the world. Your lovely sister was almost kidnapped just now." Su Xian's delicate little face was covered with tears, and her tears fell like pearls from a broken string. "It's all right." Su Emo pretended not to care and said, "Nonsense, how could I not know that? I went to another world for 23 years just for your sake. It's all for saving you. Otherwise, why do you think you'll be okay?" "Wow, woo-woo, stupid brother, you only know how to bully me. You don't care about me at all," Su Xian said aggrievedly. "Fortunately, a big brother in white clothes saved me." Su Xian held her hands in front of Yima Pingchuan's chest and said happily, "How about it, is that big brother handsome?" Su Emo narrowed his eyes and asked with a smile. "Of course he's handsome. Even though he's wearing a white fox mask and I can't see his appearance clearly, he's definitely a handsome guy," Su Xian said with infatuated eyes. "So do you think that big brother is awesome?" Su Emo asked again. "Of course he is powerful. That big brother is the most powerful person in the world. Did you know that the pterosaurs today were killed by that big brother with just one sword?" Su Xian continued with peach blossom eyes, gesticulating desperately in the air with both hands, dancing with joy, as if trying to recreate the scene of killing the strange beast at that time. Her sparkling eyes were filled with admiration. "Will one sword kill the group of pterosaurs? And another sword will kill the king of pterosaurs?" Su Emo also demonstrated it in a very realistic manner, with more essence than Su Xian. Yeah, how did you know?" Su Xian nodded her head desperately, feeling the excitement of meeting a fellow fan. "Well, because that big brother is me, your brother." Su Emo patted her little head and said with a smile, "That big brother is me, your brother." Su Xian. I am most afraid of the air suddenly becoming quiet. Su Xian stared at him blankly with her beautiful eyes wide open. 1 second. 2 seconds. Su Xian's rosy lips began to purse up little by little, and her mouth gradually became puffy. The next moment, her little hands desperately covered her mouth, and her eyes curved into crescents, as if she wanted to laugh but didn't dare to. A blush quietly spread from the face to the ears, and then climbed up the snow-white neck. After a while, Su Xian's whole little face looked like a ripe red apple. Her pretty face was already flushed red. "If you can't hold it in, then don't hold it in." Su Emo was speechless. Why does this child always seem to be not very smart? What if I get sick from holding it in? Ha 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 ha, brother, what are you doing? Su Xian held her stomach and laughed so hard that she couldn't straighten her back. The whole face is very rosy. Under Su Mo's speechless gaze, Su Xian's expression suddenly became serious again and asked, "Brother, can you please repeat what you just said?" "I said that's me, your brother. I raised my sword and slashed it with 2 clicks, and I wiped out the herd of strange beasts." Su Mo gestured in the air with his hands. "Ha ha! I'm dying of laughter." Su Xian laughed so hard that she couldn't straighten her back again. Su Mo no longer insisted. These days, no one believes the truth. Take a deep breath. Su Mo began to look around, the whole house in sight. He had just returned home, and after saving Su Xian, he encountered a strange beast attacking the city, so he left in a hurry. Only at this moment did I take a good look at the home I had left 23 years ago. Su Mo's home is very simple, with few furnitures, and it can be said that the house is bare. The whole house is less than 60 square meters, with 2 bedrooms and 1 living room. Su Mo is a true orphan. He and Su Xian have been dependent on each other since childhood. Grew up on government pension. The whole house is small, but because there are only 2 people living in it. But for Su Mo and Su Xian, it was just right. At this time, Su Xian was sitting cross-legged on the sofa. There was still a blush on her delicate face, which had completely faded away from the excitement just now. Su Mo glanced around and Su Xian's information appeared in front of him. Name, Su Xian. Age, 14. Level 0. Qualification, none. Luck, ordinary, extraordinary, otherworldly, European Emperor, son of the times, son of the epoch, son of destiny, son of the world, son of the plains. Skills, none. Introduction, white skin, beautiful face, long legs, nothing else but good looks. As expected of my unpromising sister, she has perfectly inherited the characteristics of the old Su family. Outstanding appearance, but very poor talent. Now I am 14 years old, and still a level 0. Becoming a warrior in one's lifetime seems a distant prospect. It's like Su Mo was cut from the same mold. However, whether she is as lucky as Su Mo and can marry a rich woman, Dashwai Cup, is another matter. Su Xian, do you want to become a warrior? Su Mo suddenly asked seriously. Oh brother, why are you asking this suddenly? Su Xian sat cross-legged on the sofa, her pink bunny top covering half of her fair and delicate thighs. He tilted his head in confusion. With your qualifications, it's probably impossible for you to become a warrior in this lifetime, unless you are as charming as me and can find a rich woman. Su Mo touched her little head and looked at her with sympathy. No wonder this child has not been very smart since he was young. It is understandable that he has this talent. TSK, I haven't even started my psychic enlightenment yet. How do you know I don't have any talent? Su Xian slapped Su Mo's hand away unconvinced, pouted, raised her head proudly, and said dissatisfiedly, Psychic enlightenment is a psychic test that is conducted uniformly at the age of 15 when graduating from junior high school. Test whether the innate affinity for spiritual power is high enough, whether the body can retain spiritual power, and even whether it is suitable for cultivation. People with high talent, combined with basic spiritual energy cultivation secrets. The spiritual power can be retained by circulating it in the body for one cycle. People with poor talent have spiritual energy in their bodies, just like an hourglass, which can only retain very little. After one cycle, it is estimated that only 1 in 100 will remain. And people like Su Xian. The spiritual energy comes out the same way it comes in, and his whole body is basically a sieve, which cannot retain any spiritual energy. In other words, if you don't have certain opportunities, you will basically have no chance to practice in this life. Su Mo has long experienced this evil physique. It's all tears if I talk too much. How do you feel when you practice the basic spiritual energy cultivation secrets on your own? Don't you have any idea? Seeing Su Xian was not convinced, Su Mo couldn't help but rolled his eyes and said, The basic secret method of cultivating spiritual energy is used all over the world and has long been known to everyone. It is the most universal secret method of spiritual cultivation that humans have summarized and concluded after decades of collecting countless ancient books. In the age of cataclysm, humans relied on this secret method to successfully cultivate their spiritual power and fight against strange beasts. As for the children of the new era, after they are 12 years old and their tendons and veins are mature, they will begin to try to practice spontaneously. And at this time they will basically have an idea of whether they have the talent for martial arts. However, the specific test will have to wait until the 15-year-old's spiritual enlightenment. Through special instruments, the aptitude for spiritual cultivation is accurately tested. TSK, who knows if I'll make a splash when my psychic abilities are tested? Su Xian muttered, but her expression suddenly became gloomy. Obviously, she also had an idea of her own physical condition. There's nothing I can do. My parents, whom I've never met, left me all their good genes, making me so talented, but I have a disappointing sister like you. Su Mo shook his head and sighed, with a look of regret on his face. You! Humph! You are just relying on Sister Luoshi. You have no shame! Su Xian's face turned red, she clenched her fists, and said angrily, That's called ability! How can you understand my charm? Humph, that's because Sister Luoshi is blind. Fart! I don't! The brother and sister compete with each other, and quarrel frequently. After a while, the quarrel ended and neither of them was able to convince the other. Su Xian, if you want to become a warrior, your brother can help you. Su Mo suddenly said with a serious face. Of course I want to become a warrior, how can I help? Seeing her brother Su Mo speaking so seriously, Su Xian's face couldn't help but become a little serious. Well, that is, you come here first, Su Mo said with a mysterious look on his face. Su Xian pouted, moved a chair, crossed her legs, and sat next to her brother. The ears also came close. Su Mo whispered in her ear. Go wash the dishes first. Su Xian. Stupid brother, you bully me again. Today is Sunday, it's obviously your turn to wash the dishes. Su Xian screamed angrily like a kitten with its fur standing on end. 1357 is for Su Mo to cook and wash dishes, 246 is for Su Xian to cook and wash dishes. Originally, Su Mo was in charge of cooking. But when the little girl turned 12, she began to nag about sharing the housework, and thus began an arduous history of housework. And Su Mo's cooking skills are not that great, he can just barely cook. Sometimes, Luoshi would come over to cook for them. That was the happiest time for Su Mo and Su Xian. So in Su Xian's heart, Luoshi had already been designated as her sister-in-law. But what she often said was, why would Sister Luoshi, who is so nice, fall for a fool like me? Therefore, the brother and sister often quarreled. Humph, stupid brother, you only know how to bully me. Next time I will go to Sister Luoshi to complain, Su Xian said aggrievedly. Although she was not convinced, Su Xian still ran to wash the dishes in her slippers. Su Mo shook her head. This sister was still as silly and cute as before. But he was not idle, and started to do housework. At the same time, prepare for the relevant matters for tomorrow's college entrance examination. After sorting out everything, I took a look at a special item I had obtained in the reincarnation world. God favors you. Heaven favors you. Attributes can be used on designated targets, allowing them to be favored by heaven and change their luck and qualifications to a certain extent. To be honest, with Su Xian's qualifications, if she only relied on the accumulation of cultivation resources, the result would be the same as Su Mo's before. A lot of cultivation resources are wasted in vain. At best, they can only reach the third stage of Yin Yuan, and may not be able to break through the Dongming realm in their entire life. And Su Xian doesn't have cheats like Su Mo. Therefore, the only thing that can change Su Xian's fate is the favor of heaven. Su Mo plans to try it on Su Xian later. Can you rely on the favor of heaven to change your fate? This is how Su Mo made Su Xian a warrior. Soon after Su Xian finished washing the dishes, Su Mo went to cook. Since I haven't cooked for 23 years, Xiao Luoshi was the one who cooked in the other world. So you can imagine how good Sumo's cooking skills are at this time. Soon, after some tossing and turning by Sumo, a table of dishes was served. This. Seeing the black dishes served, Su Xian couldn't help but doubt her life. Considering that her stupid brother is going to take the college entrance examination tomorrow, the smart and lovely girl bought a lot of vegetables after school, thinking of splurge once in a while. But at this time, "Whoa, brother, what are you doing? If someone doesn't know, they would think I did this." Su Xian made a bitter face and said pitifully, "Wow, I suddenly missed the food that Sister Laoshi cooked." Sumo, "Stop talking, I miss it too." Sumo knew he was in the wrong and didn't say anything. After eating and drinking, clean up the dishes on the table. "Su Xian, are you ready?" Sumo sat cross-legged opposite Su Xian and asked seriously. "I'm ready." Su Xian's little face was also full of solemnity, and she nodded seriously. "Okay, from now on, you will be favored by heaven and become the legendary child of destiny. The responsibility of saving the earth falls on you," Sumo said seriously. Then he put his hand on her forehead. "Use heaven's favor, target, Su Xian." The next moment, a mysterious force really flowed into Sumo's hand and entered Su Xian's mind. Su Xian opened her eyes wide, and her mind suddenly became clear. Then a cool feeling came from my hands. "Brother, are you done? Your hands are so cold." Su Xian slapped Sumo's hand away in dissatisfaction. "Shut up and chant with me. Today, the immortal will touch my head, and I will be blessed with immortality." Su Xian looked at Sumo with disdain. He thought he was an immortal, but still reluctantly said, "Today, the immortal touched my head and I received eternal life. One day I will ride my sword and ride the wind to slay the demons between heaven and earth. One day I will ride my sword and ride the wind to slay the demons between heaven and earth." When Su Xian finished this last sentence reluctantly, "Ding! The code has been successfully connected, and the use of the favor of heaven has been completed." At this time, the system prompt finally came. Sumo didn't want to make it so childish. The key point was that the method of using this heaven's favor was rather strange. "Stupid brother, are you done yet? Go on. From now on I will take care of all the housework and do everything," Sumo said casually while looking at Su Xian's information. "Housework from now on? Bro, is there really such a sentence?" "Well, it rhymes," Su Xian said with a dissatisfied curl of her lips. "Don't talk, just read." "Oh. From now on, I will take care of all the housework and do everything. All right? Childish. Can I really become strong and become a warrior like this?" Su Xian asked doubtfully. "Yes, you today are no longer the same as before," Sumo replied with a serious face. "Nerve." Su Xian rolled her eyes and went back to her room to sleep. "I didn't expect that. My stupid brother is even more childish than me," he muttered to himself as he walked. Name, Su Xian. Age 14. Level 0. Qualification, Genius. Luck, European Emperor, Ordinary, Extraordinary, Otherworldly, European Emperor, Son of the Times, Son of the Epoch, Son of Destiny, Son of the World, Son of the Plains. Skills, None. Introduction. With the favor of the heaven in this world, your aptitude has been improved. Your life will be prosperous, you will turn misfortune into good fortune, and you will be blessed when you encounter difficulties. You will definitely pick up money when you go out, win prizes when you scratch lottery tickets, and have the luck of the European Emperor. His talent has gone from nothing to a genius? And he even has the luck of a European Emperor? Is it that amazing? Let Su Xian buy a martial arts lottery ticket someday. Wouldn't it be possible to get rich right away? Looking at Su Xian's information, Sumo secretly smacked his lips. I'm afraid Su Xian doesn't know how strong he is or how lucky he is at this moment. She would only know that after she practiced the basic spiritual energy cultivation secret method again. Sumo found it funny when he thought of Su Xian's shocked expression at that time. The next day, as soon as the sky was light, Su Enmo got up and prepared to take the college entrance examination today. At this time, Su Xian also yawned and got up sleepily. Because today is her stupid brother's college entrance examination, she has to send Su Enmo to the exam. Didn't you practice basic psychic secrets yesterday? Seeing Su Xian as calm as usual, Su Enmo couldn't help but ask. After all, since the secret method of spiritual cultivation became popular all over the world, even those who don't have the aptitude to practice will practice for half an hour in the middle of the night. Let the spiritual energy flow around your body. Even if you can't retain it, it can still strengthen your body. This has become a habit of people in the new era. I was so sleepy last night. I was always following my brother and acting crazy. I didn't have time to practice. Su Xian rubbed her eyes with her pink fists and muttered in dissatisfaction. But brother, I found the money I couldn't find yesterday? And it seems there was an extra 100? I'm so lucky. Su Xian took out another stack of red banknotes, held it in her hand, looked at it from left to right, and said happily, Really? Maybe your luck will be better in the future. Also, remember to practice when you have time. Su Enmo secretly laughed, and then was a little surprised. Is the luck of this European emperor so good? Soon, the two arrived at the school. Since Su Xian couldn't enter the school gate, she could only be sent to the school gate. Stupid brother, you must do your best in today's exam and try to get into college. Before Su Enmo entered the school gate, Su Xian said, Are you insulting me, your brother? I want to apply to the same school as Luo Shi. Su Enmo is dissatisfied. Come on, it's good enough that you were able to get into university. How dare you compare yourself with Sister Luoshi? Su Xian's face was full of contempt. Hey Xiaox Xuanzi, see you on the news tonight. You will have something to brag about in the future, because I, your brother, ranked first in the world in this year's college entrance examination. Su Enmo rubbed Su Xian's little head, messed up her hair, and said confidently. The voice that was not lowered at all really attracted the attention of the people around, and they began to talk and point fingers. Hearing the discussions of people around me, Su Xian's face turned red due to shyness. I broke free from Su Mo's hand and took several steps back, looking like I didn't know this guy. Aren't you going to cheer for your brother? Then I'm leaving first. Seeing Su Xian pretending not to know him, Su Enmo knew that the little girl was shy, so he could only smile indifferently and walk towards the school gate. It's over, stupid brother is completely stupid. How come he seems to have a fever when he's about to take the college entrance examination? He was crazy yesterday, and he's abnormal again today? Looking at Su Mo's receding back, Su Xian muttered softly, full of worry. I remember that since my brother came back yesterday and started talking about being a swordsman, he seemed to be a little abnormal. She originally thought that she would feel better after a good night's sleep, but now it seems that the situation has become even worse. Could it be that he knew that he couldn't get into the same school as Sister Luoshi, and that we would be separated in the future? So he became mentally ill? I think my brother even said before that he wanted to break up with Sister Luoshi, and didn't allow me to call him sister-in-law anymore. Su Xian muttered to herself, as if she had thought of something. At this moment, she finally understood what the college entrance examination meant to Su Enmo. Brother, even though I know it's unlikely, I still have to try my best. Looking at Su Mo's disappearing back, Su Xian murmured with a complicated expression. Su Enmo walked into the school. I met my classmate, Zhao Ziqing. Hey boss, why didn't I see you and Sister Shi come together today? Zhao Ziqing asked with a strange look on his face. Oh, don't mention it. Cici stayed in bed late last night because she worked out too much. You know. Su Enmo smiled helplessly, with a look that every man could understand. Just kidding, can I tell you that Luoshi and I have temporarily broken up? Hiss, the boss is mighty. Zhao Ziqing was instantly impressed and gave a thumbs up. Good morning, boss. I didn't see you and your sister-in-law together today? Hey boss, it's rare to see you alone. Are you here to scout the exam room as well? Good morning, brother Enmo. Where's Sister Shi? Why can't I see her? Soon, classmates who met on the road came forward to greet Su Mo in a familiar manner. Hey, Cece's waist is not feeling well today, so she got up late. Please forgive me, brothers. Su Mo shook his head and sighed, his eyes showing 3 parts of helplessness and 2 parts of fatigue, with a face full of regrets. Once again, there was a burst of amazement from the people around, and all kinds of envious and admiring eyes came towards him. Some even exclaimed that it was awesome. As they walked, most of the boys in the class gathered around Su Mo. Su Mo has always been very popular in the class. With an extremely outstanding appearance and a unique temperament, she is naturally liked by others. No one would have unwarranted malice towards beautiful things, unless beneath the delicate appearance, there is a weak temperament that makes people want to bully. But Su Mo's temperament is obviously superior to others, peerless and independent, making people look up to him, or even submit to him. When the gap is not big, it may make people jealous, but when the gap is too big, only envy and inferiority will remain. Su Mo is obviously the latter. With his easygoing personality, which is very inconsistent with his appearance, he can easily get along with people in the class. More importantly, he has an excellent and protective girlfriend who won't tolerate anyone saying anything bad about Su Mo. Well, the feeling of eating soft rice is really delicious. Moreover, Su Mo is one of the few warriors in the class, but he can get along well with ordinary students. You know, in each class, the average number of people who can become warriors is less than 10. Su Mo's cultivation level of the 3rd stage of Hidden Yuan was already enough to rank him in the top 5 in the class, making people call him a genius. Although this was Luo Shi's hard work for countless days and nights, silently tutoring Su Mo and guiding his practice. He even used up his own cultivation resources to help him barely reach the 3rd stage of Hidden Yuan. But the other students didn't know. So in the eyes of outsiders, Su Mo and Luo Shi are an extremely well-matched and enviable couple. If there is someone who can match Luo Shi in appearance and temperament, then it can only be Su Mo. Putting aside their strength, they really are like a pair of immortal lovers. This is just like eating CP. It's just that Luo Shi is more of a genius. But only Su Mo knew that his so-called genius was completely fabricated by Luo Shi. Moreover, the difference between the 3rd stage of Hidden Yuan and the 9th stage of Hidden Yuan is also huge. Boss, when are you going to marry Sister Luo Shi? Yes, boss, remember to send out invitations when you get married. Brother Mo, you are not a child anymore. Hurry up and have a baby with Sister Luo Shi. Brother Mo, I have already thought of the names for your children. We're getting married soon, don't ask anymore. Okay. I'll definitely invite you guys when the time comes for the wedding. Children, right? Well, we plan to have a boy and a girl, Su Mo said shyly, responding one by one. Just when Su Mo was about to ask if he wanted a boy or a girl. But I found that all the boys had become quiet at the same time. All of a sudden, their backs straightened up a lot, and the lively small group fell silent in an instant. I don't know when a gorgeous figure came towards me. The moment he saw the person coming, Su Mo's face was filled with joy, and he quickly extended his hand to greet him. Luo! But the next moment, the figure passed by Su Mo as if he didn't recognize him. Su Mo stood there awkwardly, neither able to raise his hand to greet anyone nor to put it down. Boss, Sister Luo Shi, why do you seem to not recognize you? After the figure walked away, everyone dared to speak and ask quietly. Well, couples are bound to have some bad tempers. Well, I have something to do. I'll leave first. Su Mo said hurriedly, not caring about arguing with his classmates, and hurriedly chased after Luo Shi. After Su Mo left in a hurry, the remaining students looked at each other in disbelief. Oh my God! Brother Su Mo and Sister Luo Shi are in a bad mood. Oh my God! Brother Su Mo and Sister Luo Shi broke up. Oh my God! Brother Su Mo and Sister Luo Shi are fighting. Soon the news spread. Luo Shi didn't walk fast. Soon Su Mo caught up. Luo Shi. Su Mo's adventure. Who are you? Do I know you? Luo Shi looked at him with disdain, her pretty face full of coldness and chillness. Seeing Su Mo catching up, he quickened his pace and walked forward without looking back. No, I'm your husband. Su Mo followed Luo Shi with a bitter face. Get lost! You have no shame. I'm not even married yet, Luo Shi said angrily. This guy is still the same as always, and can easily ruin my moral character. Then I am your partner. Partner is fine, right? Shut up, I don't know you, you're not my partner, we've broken up. Luo Shi snorted coldly. If you dare to spread rumors again, I won't forgive you. Luo Shi glared at him with her beautiful eyes, but didn't say why she couldn't forgive him. She just engraved the word, angry, on her cold and pretty face. Here, take it. After saying that, Luo Shi did not allow Su Mo to refuse, and with a cold face, he forced the notebook into Su Mo's arms. Then she left without looking back, leaving him with a cold and aloof back. Luo Shi. Looking at the notebook stuffed into his arms, Su Mo felt warm inside. Girls always like to say one thing and mean another. Especially Luo Shi. Su Mo sighed inwardly, then picked up the notebook and started reading. This is a blue notebook, which is Su Mo's favorite color, and it also has the faint fragrance of Luo Shi. When I opened it, I saw that it was densely written with beautiful black fonts, and there were some pictures. Basically, they are all the questions that Luo Shi predicted might be on the liberal arts exam. In short, they are the recommended questions. The college entrance examination is divided into two parts: literary examination and military examination. The literary examination is on the first day and the military examination is on the second day. To be honest, Su Mo has been in another world for 23 years and hasn't done any literary examination questions for such a long time. Even if a warrior has an amazing memory, he has almost forgotten the details of some questions. At this time, the notebook sent by Luo Shi was just right. Ding, you have picked up a precious notebook, reading it. Progress 1%. 31%. 74%. Reading completed, you have mastered high school knowledge. Soon, all the contents of the notebook flooded into Su Mo's mind. Suddenly, Su Mo's eyes became more enlightened. Although it is not difficult for a warrior to remember the contents of a notebook in a short period of time. But just remember that there will always be some omissions. Moreover, it is impossible to fully digest and understand it in a short period of time, and it is difficult to integrate it. And a system like this is much simpler and easier. Not only can I remember everything, but I can also understand it instantly. After reading, the system can determine that the notebook directly generates skills. One can imagine how precious Luo Shi's notebook is. Soon, Su Mo arrived at his examination room and the written test began. The literary exam only accounts for 10% of the total score, while the martial arts exam accounts for 90%. This does not mean that we do not attach importance to cultural subjects. But for people in the new era, cultural courses have become too simple and cannot make up for the gap. With the global spiritual energy revival, the memory of ordinary people has improved a lot compared to the disaster era. It can be said that this is the realization of global human evolution in another sense. The memory and mental agility are much stronger than those of previous humans, which makes the new generation of humans learn things very quickly. So for most people, the difference in the scores of the literary examination will not be too big. The only thing that can truly determine your fate is the military examination. In addition to the necessary cultural heritage of the pre-disaster cultural subjects, the subjects of the literary examination include 3 new subjects were also established, namely, Theory of Strange Beasts, Overview of Beast Attacks, and Theory of Spirits, which are collectively referred to as new subjects. The cultural courses are also different from before the disaster. First, the world's common language was changed to Chinese. English was abolished long ago and lost in the long river of history. The cultural courses during the entire Cataclysm era were also divided into 2 subjects. One is humanities, and the other is science and engineering, both of which are classified as old subjects. The morning exam was for the old subject. Su Mo finished the test paper very easily, with basically no mistakes. The highlight of the literary examination is on the new subjects. This is a point that pulls down the score for many people. After all, spiritual energy has been revived for more than 100 years. After a long period of reproduction and evolution, the species of exotic beasts in the world are already countless, and every aggressive exotic beast is an enemy of mankind. The first subject in the afternoon was Theory of Strange Beasts. Theory of Strange Beasts tests the examinee's ability to identify the types of strange beasts, as well as their understanding of some attack methods and habits, so as to use the resources on site to target the weaknesses of strange beasts and formulate feasible strategies to fight against the enemy. Su Mo picked up the paper, glanced at it, and saw only one question on it. Question: what are the living habits of Giulia orange rhino? What are its characteristics before attacking? When the only resource you have is a Barrett, how should you deal with the enemy properly? Luo Shi had already drawn a picture of this question in his notebook, and clearly explained the habits of this strange beast. Of course, Su Mo answered with great enthusiasm. Soon the strange beasts exam was over. Started to take the test of Overview of Beast Raids, different from the Theory of Strange Beasts, which aims to fully understand the strange beasts and know both ourselves and the enemy so as to fight 100 battles without danger. The beast attack theory mainly focuses on one word: escape. How to seek rescue and escape properly when encountering powerful beasts in the wild. How to take emergency precautions and escape safely from the attack of waves of alien beasts. And use the feces of high-level exotic beasts to scare low-level exotic beasts, or to cover up their own scent and hide their whereabouts. The last subject is the test of spiritual theory. Spiritual theory is equivalent to the essay topic in the previous life. It tests the candidate's understanding and analysis of the nature of spiritual energy, the possibility and derivative direction of its application in life and military fields, and the balance and relevance with modern technology. In just a few decades, human beings are still in the enlightenment stage of using Reiki, and there is unlimited potential to be developed. When Reiki is used as a new energy source, it is called spiritual energy. Many scientists and psychics who are at the forefront of the times have applied psychic powers to daily life and the military. For example, psychic light bulbs, psychic air conditioners, psychic washing machines. Well, it's very practical. Soon, Su Mo wrote down his views on the nature, properties and opinions of spiritual energy. Since Su Mo had already come into contact with another kind of energy, Qi, in the reincarnation world. With mutual confirmation, his understanding of spiritual energy is far beyond that of people in this main world. Writing a paper about Reiki that would shock the world is a piece of cake. Looking at the classmates around, they were busy and sweating. It was obvious that the subject of spiritual theory was quite difficult for them. In response, Su Mo sneered. Su Mo handed in his paper first, and soon walked out of the examination room with confidence. According to his speculation, it shouldn't be a problem to get 180 points out of a full 200 points in the literature exam. The full score for the military exam is 800. Therefore, the results of the literary examination do not actually have much impact. After leaving the examination room, Su Mo went straight to Luo Shi's examination room, ready to pick her up and go home after school. He even activated the star chasing and moon chasing technique, and his body turned into a residual shadow and left. Under the surveillance of the cameras along the way, there was no trace left. Just a few seconds later, Su Mo arrived at Luo Shi's examination room. At this time, Luo Shi just walked out of the classroom. When she saw Su Mo, there was a flash of surprise in her eyes, but she quickly suppressed it. She pretended not to see Su Mo, and walked straight past him with a calm figure. "Wife!" Su Mo couldn't help but yelled from behind. "Luo Shi!" Luo Shi's body trembled slightly. She stopped, turned around and glanced at him indifferently with a cold expression. "Ah, Luo Shi, thank you for your notebook. It helps me a lot." Su Mo could only scratch his head awkwardly and said. At the same time, he stepped forward and handed her the notebook. Luo, she said softly, and took the notebook. Then the next moment she frowned. Because when Su Mo handed her the notebook, he also took the opportunity to hold her hand. How long are you going to touch me? Luo, she asked calmly. Oh, I'm sorry, honey. Su Mo was stunned for a moment, then let go of Luo Shi's fair, delicate and boneless little hand with a complicated expression. Ding! Heaven's favor failed to be used. The target Luo Shi's status is too high, and his luck is too great to be used. Hearing the reminder in my ear, Su Mo didn't know what to say. As early as when returning the notebook, Su Mo wanted to take the opportunity to use the heavenly favor on Luo Shi. Because the condition for using the heavenly Dao favor is that you must contact the other party, and then use the strange secret code. But now it seems that I can only say that she is worthy of being my wife. Not only are all her attributes question marks when I check her information, but even the favor of heaven cannot be used on her. At this moment, Luo Shi pulled his hand away and turned away, leaving everyone with a lonely and cold back that captivated everyone. Su Mo stared blankly at Luo Shi's departing back, lost in thought with a complicated expression. This scene was seen by the students passing by. Hiss, it seems the rumors are true, Su Mo really broke up with Luo Shi. Yes, I heard Luo Shi say it herself when I passed by this morning. Just now, Su Mo seemed to want to go up and hold Luo Shi's hand, but it seems that Luo Shi rejected her. Wow, my youth is over. How come even Su Mo and Luo Shi broke up? Is there still love in this world? I guess it's over. I want to be alone. The couple I've been supporting for 3 years is gone. It ended during graduation season. At this time, sparse sounds began to be heard around. As a famous couple in school, a famous person. Whenever they walked side by side, they would become the most beautiful scenery in the school, and their every move would naturally attract everyone's attention. At this time, Su Mo and Luo Shi's different way of getting along with each other from usual had obviously caused huge waves in everyone's hearts. Su Mo shook his head, ignored the gossipers, and walked straight ahead. He is still busy catching up with Luo Shi. Su Mo! Just as Su Mo was about to use the Star Chaser to catch up with Luo Shi, a woman's voice came over. A woman with delicate makeup and an arrogant demeanor walked up. The woman was dressed in red, with a graceful and charming figure, and a hint of charm between her eyebrows. She is a rare beauty, but of course she cannot compare to Luo Shi. What's up? Su Mo looked at her puzzledly. He didn't remember knowing this person. I heard that you broke up with Luo Shi? The woman's eyes were as charming as silk, and she looked Su Mo up and down as if she was looking at a prey. She stretched out her hand and gently placed it on the fullness of her chest, intentionally or unintentionally directing everyone's attention to the whiteness of her chest. At the same time, her white and delicate long legs stretched slightly, showing her good figure, with a hint of teasing and temptation. She looked at Su Mo naked. She even stuck out her scarlet tongue and licked her lips. A flash of greed and desire flashed across her eyes. This is like the look a middle-aged man has when he sees a young girl. Luo Shi gradually slowed down his pace and found that the people behind him had not caught up. I couldn't help but frown. I waited there for a while, but still couldn't catch up. Luo Shi's breathing couldn't help but become heavier. I couldn't help but look back. Then she saw the scene that annoyed her. A seductively dressed woman seemed to be talking to Su Mo. Luo Shi clenched her fists tightly, her pretty face covered with frost. The air around them suddenly became 3 degrees colder, and a terrifying murderous aura surged in all directions. Just as Luo Shi was about to rush forward, he paused. Forget it, I've broken up with him. Let him do whatever he wants, what a jerk! Luo Shi thought angrily. With a cold face, he prepared to move forward. Luo Shi, I heard that you and Su Mo broke up? At this time, a gentle voice sounded. A handsome man with a gentle face like jade came to Luo Shi's side. With every gesture, he seemed elegant and cultured, perfectly displaying what he thought was his most handsome side, the man said confidently. Luo Shi gave him a cold look. The man felt as if he had fallen into an icy cave. Luo Shi's pretty face was cold. She glanced at the man coldly, making him feel as if he had fallen into an icy cave. You're right. We're breaking up, Luo Shi said with gritted teeth. No, Luo Shi and I have a good relationship. How could we break up? It's just a rumor. The woman's gaze made Su Emo frown, but he still shook his head to deny it. And a sweet and happy smile appeared on the corner of her mouth. You don't have to pretend anymore. The news of your breakup with Luo Shi has spread all over the school. But the woman directly exposed it. It doesn't matter if we break up. I believe you have heard of my name. Why don't you stay with me from now on? I will provide you with resources for cultivation, and I am even sure that you can be promoted to the Dongning realm within 10 years. The woman said with a solemn oath. A confident smile appeared on her lips. She believed that the conditions she offered were already very tempting. It's good that we're separated. My name is Zhao Inkai. Can I get to know you? Zhao Inkai gave a smile that he thought was impeccable. Seeing that Luo Shi's pretty face was still frosty, and she seemed indifferent, he knew that the wealth he showed might not be enough. You may not know me very well. The Ferrari Phantom magnetic levitation psychic car at the door is mine. My father works in the Shogun's mansion in the main city. In Showa County, even the city lord has to give me some respect. Zhao Inkai tilted his mouth, looking very confident. He believed that revealing his identity was enough to shock the woman in front of him. After all, no woman can resist a man who can drive a Ferrari one-handed. Su Emo was surprised. Just Pu Shinu? The corners of Sumo's mouth twitched. By the way, who are you, sister? Are you famous? I have never heard of you. Also, don't you know that I'm already at the quasi-ceiling of humanity? Why would I spend 10 years regressing my cultivation to the Dongning realm? You must be suffering from some serious illness. Moreover, if the resources were useful to him, he would have been pushed to the Dongning realm by Luo Shi long ago. Sorry, I don't know you. I have something else to do. Please make way, Su Emo said impatiently. I don't want to talk to this woman anymore. You haven't heard of me? The woman pointed at herself, a look of disbelief on her face. But then he took a deep breath, thinking that this was the man he had finally fallen in love with after so many years. Then he said patiently, It's normal for a commoner like you not to know me. I am the eldest daughter of the Zhang family. You know the Zhang family, right? It's the largest family in the entire Showa-based city. I am here to announce today that as long as you marry into my Zhang family, I will ensure that you will have no worries about food and clothing for the rest of your life. The woman said with a look of pride that she believed that as long as she revealed her identity, the other party would be shocked. What's up? Luo Shi raised his eyebrows and asked. She was speechless. Why did this man specifically say that he had a car? Ms. Luo Shi, you have extraordinary talent. Even in the entire Showa-based city, you are 1 in a million. However, your family background will be your only shortcoming. You are not from a wealthy family. With your family background, it is not easy for you to reach this point. I am afraid that you usually rely on scholarships from school to earn resources for cultivation. But this is not enough to support the training of late-stage warriors, especially the most resource-consuming Dongning realm and Kaiyang realm. I believe you can understand that the poor are good at literature and rich in martial arts. I am the eldest son of the Zhao family. As long as you can be with me, the Zhao family will use all its resources to help you reach the pinnacle of martial arts. Zhao Inkai said lightly. He has shown enough sincerity and made the interest clear, so he doesn't believe that the other party won't be tempted. Nerve. Su Emo couldn't help but roll his eyes. He had never heard of the eldest daughter of the Zhang family. It's been so many years, and you're still going to marry into the wife's family? Is this the wrong channel? Ill. Luo Shi rolled her eyes. What does the eldest son of the Zhao family have to do with him? Providing resources or something? It's even more ridiculous. Doesn't she know that all her cultivation resources are used to support that pretty boy at home? Wasn't the reason she took first place to earn scholarship funds to support him? Now that he is flirting with another woman, what is the point of her having these cultivation resources? Seeing Su Mo turned and left without looking back, the woman seemed to lose face and her defense was completely broken. Su Mo, I advise you not to be ungrateful. I have already given you enough face. You, a mere hidden yawn level 3, still want to escape from my palm? I tell you, this world is not something that ordinary people like you can imagine. Seeing that Su Mo was still indifferent, as if he had turned a blind eye to her threats, he was almost out of sight. The woman was completely furious and stamped her feet in anger. That bitch Luo Shi. What's so good about that bitch Luo Shi? Why do you keep thinking about her? She was about to say, but halfway through her words. Crack! A figure flashed to her side. No one saw how he appeared, and no one could even see his movements clearly. But the person who should have walked out of the corridor suddenly appeared. He stretched out his hand, grabbed her neck, and lifted her whole body up. If you had said one more word, you would be a corpse right now. Sumo's voice was icy cold. The astonishing murderous aura was released without any concealment at this moment. In an instant, the woman thought she had entered a sea of blood and corpses, hell. The woman's proud legs in the air were struggling and swinging weakly. Under Sumo's terrifying momentum, she was like a small boat in the endless ocean. So weak and helpless. The sudden change made the woman panic and she wanted to scream. Woo woo! But her throat was already blocked by Su Mo, and she couldn't utter a word for a long time. It's not your turn to say anything about Luo Shi. If you dare to gossip again next time, I won't mind sending you to hell. Su Mo said with great anger, and the strength in his hands increased a bit. Threatening him is fine, he can just ignore it as a clown barking. But he actually dared to say that about Luo Shi? Aren't you looking for death? At this time, the woman's beautiful face was red and dripping with blood due to lack of oxygen and blood loss. It is even more hideous and twisted because of the pain. As Su Mo increased his strength, a trace of blood even flowed out from the corner of the woman's mouth. Just when the woman thought she was going to die. Roll! Su Mo threw her to the ground like trash. The woman's body was smashed to the ground. Ahem! She covered her neck and began to breathe heavily as if she was saved. Under Sumo's terrifying momentum and murderous aura, something yellow and white appeared between her snow-white legs. Seeing that Luo Shi was indifferent to his request, and even looked a little impatient, Zhao Yingkai couldn't help but frown. Zhao Yingkai was a man of such status that he personally committed himself to pursuing a commoner's daughter, which was already giving her face. The result is so unreasonable? However, Zhao Yingkai has never failed to get what he wanted since he was a child. Even if I have to use force, I will tie them back. Although I heard that Luo Shi was a genius of the 9th level of Hidden Yuan, a genius who has not grown up is just a genius after all. When the time comes, you can spend a little more money and call a bunch of Dongming, or even Yaoguang realm masters. With this in mind, Zhao Yingkai continued. Luo Shi, think about it again. With your talent, you shouldn't be buried like this. Among my peers, I believe that only I am worthy of you. Are you still unable to let go of your ex-boyfriend? I've heard of that Su Mo too. He's just a loser. Brush. Before Zhao Yingkai finished speaking, a flash of cold light flashed by. A sharp sword was already across his neck. He didn't even see how the other party moved, how he drew his sword, But he has already put the sword on his neck. The sharp sword energy had already cut through his surface tissue, and a trace of blood flowed out along the sharp cold sword. Feeling the astonishing murderous aura from the woman, Zhao Yingkai couldn't help but swallow his saliva. This man really wanted to kill him, and dared to kill him. When did it become his turn for you to make irresponsible remarks? Luo Shi's beautiful face was covered with frost, and she spoke in a cold voice. Zhao Yingkai's whole body was shrouded in terrifying murderous intent. Facing the crisis of death, he couldn't utter a word. Does she really want to kill me? How dare she? Under the watchful eyes of the public, did she not want to take the college entrance examination? Wasn't she afraid of being wanted by the whole city? Besides, haven't they broken up already? Why? Zhao Yinkai's pupils contracted, and he felt almost desperate. Because the sword intent was still eating away at his blood vessels, and the endless edge was still piercing his flesh. He might really die. Luoshi. Just when Zhao Yinkai thought he was doomed, a call came softly. Luoshi's delicate body trembled, and she snorted coldly before she put away her sword and walked away. The moment Luoshi put away his sword, Zhao Yinkai's entire body collapsed like a puddle of mud. Brother, you dare to provoke her, what are you thinking? Even I am afraid of her when she gets angry. Su Emo and Dao. He walked up and patted Zhao Yinkai on the shoulder. He looked at him with sympathy, then chased after Luoshi. Puff! Under Sumo's pat on the shoulder, which was not heavy but was as familiar as a good friend, Zhao Yinkai actually vomited blood. Even his internal organs were slightly injured by this force. Originally it was just a skin injury on the neck, but this time it was directly injured internally. He stared at the two people leaving with dull eyes. They are like the most dazzling and eye-catching couple of gods. Just leaving far away, the beautiful and flawless back view is enough to be painted. Become the most beautiful scenery. Anyone who sees this can tell at first glance that they are a perfect match for each other. Who said they broke up? Who is it? Who spread the rumor? Luoshi. Soon, Su Emo caught up with Luoshi and walked side by side with her on the path outside the campus. Why call me Luoshi? You don't call me wife anymore? Luoshi raised her beautiful eyes and glared at him. At dusk, the sun sets in the west, and the few street lamps on the road are dimly lit, flickering like scattered lights swaying. Cars are coming and going, and from time to time a maglev train whizzes past at low altitude. Why don't you call me wife anymore? Luoshi glared and asked. Su Emo was caught off guard by Luoshi's words and was actually at a loss for words. Could it be, this is a move of advancing in order to retreat? After a moment's pause, Su Emo looked shy and said shyly, Wife. Snort. Luoshi snorted coldly and sneered. I almost forgot that you are going to be the son-in-law of the Zhang family. You should stop calling me wife from now on. Su Emo is speechless. Luoshi really noticed it. That woman showed up on her own. I don't even know her. Su Emo said innocently. Oh yes. Luoshi continued to sneer. It's unfair. Everyone knows that I only have Luoshi in my heart. I won't even look at other women. Oh really? Luoshi suddenly seemed interested and asked back. Yeah? Su Emo nodded repeatedly. Her bear is huge, isn't it? How does it compare to mine? Luoshi suddenly leaned on Su Emo. The eternal frost on the beautiful cheeks seemed to melt away all of a sudden, turning into a wisp of spring. Her beautiful eyes, like a spring of spring water, looked at him seductively, with an extremely charming and alluring expression. Luoshi's eyebrows and eyes are as delicate as silk, and even her voice is filled with unbreakable tenderness. She spoke softly, breathing hot air into Sumo's ear, her breath smelling like orchid. She stretched out a delicate hand and took Sumo's other hand, slowly pulling it towards her. Luoshi's boneless hand grasped Sumo's finger, and her fingertips brushed across the middle of the delicate hem of her skirt. Slowly move upwards, gradually leading to the rise and fall of your chest. Plop, plop. In an instant, Sumo's whole body stiffened, and he could only hear his own heartbeat. With the beauty in his arms, the faint fragrance filled his nose, and his whole body was filled with Luoshi's scent. Sumo's brain seemed to have crashed, and at this moment it seemed to have stopped functioning. Luoshi's, Su Emo said subconsciously, stuttering. And her legs are long too, right? Compared to mine? Which is longer? Luoshi smiled, the corners of her delicate mouth slightly raised. Her smile became even more charming and moving. Luoshi adjusted her posture, stretched out her hands and put them around Sumo's neck. Then she asked softly, breathing warm air gently into his ear. One of the snow-white and delicate long legs gradually lifted up and hung around Su Mo's waist. Su Mo subconsciously stretched out a hand to catch it, and felt a surprisingly delicate touch. Su Mo shuddered. Of course it's Luo Shi's. Su Mo was like a puppet at this time. He swallowed and answered subconsciously. So, this is what you mean by not watching? The next moment, a bone-chilling voice sounded, Luo Shi said in a cold voice. A surprising chill emerged at this moment. The charming Luo Shi just now seemed to be just a fleeting illusion. Instead, he returned to being the cold and desperate Luo Shi. How dare you look at breasts and legs, you bastard! Luo Shi said angrily, and had already stretched out a hand to grab the tender flesh on his waist. Oops, I fell into a trap. Su Mo finally realized what was happening and secretly said that it was not good. Feeling the pain in his waist, Su Mo wanted to cry but had no tears. Once Luo Shi becomes charming, no one else will have any chance. He subconsciously. I was not careful and fell into the beauty trap. I am innocent. Su Mo wanted to cry but had no tears. It's still unfair. Luo Shi was angry, like an angry kitten. He threw Su Mo to the ground. The whole person rode on Su Mo's waist. It's very long, isn't it? It's huge, isn't it? Very white, right? As Luo Shi was speaking, he bent his upper body, opened his cherry-red lips, revealing two flawless white fangs, and bit Su Mo's shoulder viciously. I'll let you see! I'll let you see! Then he bit Su Mo's neck, collarbone, and even lips a few times. Half an hour later, they were already in an uninhabited area covered with green grass. Luo Shi got up from Su Mo's body. Huh, that's it! Who is it that can't do it? Luo Shi sneered disdainfully, her delicate cheeks still covered with a blush from excitement that had not yet subsided. The blood-stained lips were extremely rosy and charming, and the whole person was stunningly beautiful and full of fatal temptation. Su Mo stood up, straightened his clothes, and looked tired. He really couldn't beat Luo Shi in a fight. I'll have to consider using a small pill next time. At this time, dusk fell, and the fragmented sunset covered the sunset with a colorful dress. It also stretched the figures of Su Mo and Luo Shi very long, leaving silhouettes on the ground. Looking at Su Mo's flawless and handsome face that even women envy, Luo Shi gently wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth, and said viciously, If you dare to mess around with other girls next time, I will scratch your face. Su Mo. This is my word. Facing the dusk, Su Mo sent Luo Shi all the way home. The mottled sunset casts a shadow on the world, turning it into an orange-yellow hue. Su Mo and Luo Shi walked side by side. While walking, their arms touched intentionally or unintentionally, and the warmth and delicate touch of Luo Shi's body came, making Su Mo a little distracted. After hesitating for a moment, Su Mo took the initiative to hold Luo Shi's soft and boneless hand. Luo Shi's body trembled as if he had been electrocuted, and he struggled to move, but failed to break free. Just let Su Mo hold it. Soon, the two of them were holding hands. They walked together like a normal couple. Today happens to be the global Chinese Valentine's Day, and there are many couples on the road, but Su Mo and Luo Shi are undoubtedly the most dazzling pair. Wherever she goes, she will be greeted with astonishing glances from the public and has a very high rate of people turning back to look at her. They walked along the way, no one spoke, enjoying the rare tranquility of the moment. Soon, on the way, the two talked about some questions about today's exam. The two of them briefly compared their answers. What? How did you respond when you were attacked by a pack of blue dragons in the wild? Tell me again. As they looked at each other, Luo Shi realized something was wrong and asked with a strange expression. I mean, is there anything wrong with killing with one sword? Su Mo asked tentatively. Don't you know that a group of blue dragon beasts are at least a group of Yaoguang? How did you kill them all with one sword? And didn't the question say it all? There are limiting conditions, assuming that you are also a Yaoguang. I didn't assume you were at the Yuheng realm. What are you thinking? Do you really think you are invincible at the same realm? Luo Shi held his forehead with a worried look. Is there any problem? Su Mo allegations. He was in the Yuheng realm and killed all opponents of the same realm. It was like a piece of cake for him to kill a group of pterosaurs in seconds. We are both in the Yaoguang realm, so what's wrong with killing a group of Sunlong beasts with one sword? You! I lost to you. Luo Shi was so angry. What about you? How did you answer? Su Mo asked curiously. Of course, he killed the Sunlong beasts with one sword. Luo Shi answered without thinking. Su Mo. So what's the difference between your answer and mine? Arrived at Luo Shi's doorstep. If you don't do well in tomorrow's martial arts exam, I'll make you pay. Luo Shi glared at Su Mo and said, Don't worry, honey. It's not a problem to get the first place in the world. Su Mo is full of confidence. Tisk bragging. Luo Shi was too lazy to pay attention to him. She rolled her eyes and went straight upstairs. After sending Luo Shi home, Su Mo returned to his own home. As soon as I entered the door, Su Xian had already prepared the meal. She was sitting upright on a chair, her two long snow-white legs swinging back and forth, watching the news broadcast on the 3D virtual TV intently. According to the latest news, the alien beast attack in Showa County was resolved with one sword by a mysterious swordsman who passed by. The swordsman called himself a sword immortal. Psychic experts speculated that this sword immortal is very likely to be the new ceiling of humanity. The following is a video clip about the alien beast attacking the city. Then not long after, the screen started to switch. I am now reporting the latest news about the global college entrance examination. Chu Aotian, a student from Gongqing No. 1 High School who has repeatedly topped the high school ranking list, made a bold statement that no one can beat him in this global ranking battle of the college entrance examination. The following is a clip of his interview. This Chu Aotian is so annoying. Sword Immortal, I want to see Senior Sword Immortal. Su Xian cried out in dissatisfaction, and pointed her little hands in the air, causing the virtual playback screen in front of her to keep switching through the light touch sensor. Now we have an urgent news for you. Postpartum care for sows. The latest news from the border is playing. Su Mo saw that she was watching so seriously, with her little hands constantly switching the virtual TV, and couldn't help feeling speechless. He didn't even know his brother was back. The following is a clip of the Battle of Senior Sword Immortal. Finally, Su Xian saw another video about the Sword Immortal and was watching it happily. Then the next moment, a handsome figure blocked the TV. Brother, what are you doing? You're blocking me from watching TV. Su Xian pouted and said dissatisfiedly. Don't you want to see the Sword Master? Isn't this for you to see enough? Su Mo pointed at himself. Nerve. Su Xian rolled her eyes. Then it was as if he had discovered a new world. Looking at Su Mo, he asked with a strange look. Hey brother, what happened to your neck? Why is there a red mark? Su Xian pointed at the strawberries planted by Luo Shi on Su Mo's neck and asked. Well, don't ask questions that children shouldn't ask, Su Mo said with a serious expression and a straight face. Come on, tell me what happened. There are still red marks on your face. It's on my neck too. And on my collarbone too. Strange brother, your mouth is also very red. Su Xian seemed to have opened up a chatterbox, exclaiming repeatedly and asking with gesticulations. It's okay, I just had a fight with Luo Shi. Su Mo became impatient with Su Xian's question and answered casually. TSK, you childish bastard, you're fighting with your mouth. Su Xian nodded as if she understood, then her face was full of contempt. You are so grown up, why are you still acting like a child? It's a shame that her stupid brother always calls her childish. Su Xian shook her head and stopped thinking about it. She then pointed at the dishes on the table. Okay, silly brother, I've prepared the food, come and eat. Looking at the dark food on the table, some of it was half-cooked. Su Mo pulled the corner of his mouth. Why do I suddenly feel not hungry? Whoa! Brother, you bastard! Your smart and lovely sister cooked for you in celebration of your exam. I think we should order takeout. Su Mo asked tentatively. How could you do this? Su Xian said angrily. Then I'll just eat a bite reluctantly. No way. It's obviously similar to what my brother did yesterday. It's too different. I don't care. It's just the same. Finally, thanks to Su Xian's insistence, the family of two happily ate their meal. Brother, how did you do on the written test this time? Are you confident? Su Xian frowned and picked up the dish she cooked with a bitter expression and asked. She was suddenly tempted by Su Mo's suggestion. How about ordering takeout? It's okay. It's not a problem to be the world's number one. Su Mo picked up a relatively cooked dish expressionlessly and put it into his mouth to chew. Beautiful. No salt. Su Xian rolled her eyes and said nothing. Finally, I put down my chopsticks. Su Mo glanced at her and understood what she meant, and put down his chopsticks. Brother, why don't we order takeout? After finishing the takeaway with satisfaction, Su Xian touched her bulging belly. It's not that the food is not delicious, it's mainly because I know that my brother has a martial arts exam tomorrow, so I want to give him a little extra food. Yeah, you're right. Looking at Su Xian's table of barely touched dishes, Su Mo nodded in agreement. Soon, after finishing the meal, Su Mo cleaned up the table and the kitchen. He also reminded Su Xian. Xiao Xuanzi, even though you are a useless little guy with no cultivation qualifications, don't forget to practice the basic spiritual energy cultivation secrets tonight. Maybe there will be unexpected surprises. Then, under Su Xian's resentful gaze, Su Mo went back to his room to sleep. No words were spoken that night. The next day, the world was watching. Under the global satellite broadcast, the military examination, which truly determines the fate of countless candidates, has begun. For many candidates, they have no chance to take the martial arts exam. Those who can take part in the martial arts examination are, without exception, all warriors. So it is no exaggeration to say that those who can take the exam on the second day are the elite and best of all students in the entire Shoa County-based city. The martial arts exam is not held in the school, but at the Aries Base branch. All the martial arts students from the high schools in the entire 023 base city will gather there. The total number of martial arts candidates in Lingwu High School was less than 80, which ranked last among all the high schools. The one walking to the front of the entire team, as the leader, was Luo Shi. She stood out in the crowd, walking towards me, her long skirt fluttering, as if she was not stained by dust. She was wearing a black dress today. The knee-length skirt swayed slightly in the breeze, revealing two white and delicate calves. Her long black hair fell vertically and spread around her waist. As she danced lightly, her spirits soared. She seemed like a born protagonist, with peerless beauty and unrivaled elegance. Wherever she appears, she can easily attract everyone's attention. But the cold and aloof aura that emanated from her body, as well as her cold and extraordinary temperament, made people around her stay away from her. I only dare to watch from afar and dare not play with it. Faced with such a charming person, everyone would subconsciously feel inferior. I dare not even think of standing shoulder to shoulder with her. At this time, all the candidates subconsciously kept a distance from Luo Shi. I only dared to look at Luo Shi from a distance, and then the surprise in my eyes flashed across my face. But when he saw the figure standing side by side with her, he couldn't help but twitch the corners of his mouth, his face full of black lines, and he felt helpless. Everyone I just mentioned didn't dare to get close to Luo Shi, but this obviously didn't include him. He was dressed in white, with a flawless and handsome face, sharp eyebrows and bright eyes, and a handsome face like jade. His figure was slender and straight like a sword, and his whole body was sharp and sharp. He revealed an amazing invincible spirit. He just stood there casually, and people felt impressed. I marvel at how such a perfect person can exist in this world. He exudes an ethereal and otherworldly aura, as if he were a banished immortal. Judging from appearance and temperament alone, she is not inferior to Luoshi at all. And because he is a boy, with his gender advantage, people who don't know him would think he is the leader. As for the upcoming military examination, the team leaders of each school will be crucial. Usually, the strongest person in this school, who is also the face of this school, will appear. Luoshi has always been the undisputed number one in Linwu High School. It was the unanimous request of all teachers and students that she stand at the front and become the team leader, and there is nothing wrong with that. But Sumo, a hidden element third dan, a mid to low level player in the team, standing in the most prominent position at the front of the team, isn't this a joke? Seeing Sumo standing beside Luoshi consciously, as the leader. At this time, all the students of Linwu High School were very helpless. But no one dared to say no. The students didn't dare to say yes because they were afraid of Luoshi and worried about being beaten by her. Who doesn't know that Luoshi is the most protective of her children? The teacher didn't say anything, purely because he was so handsome. And just looking at that temperament is very intimidating. You can tell at a glance that he is definitely a master. He has a face of the most top-notch genius. Even if he was standing in a crowd, he would definitely be considered a hidden leader. So it's better to just pull it out and use it as a card. But only the students of Linwu High School knew that the male leader was actually just good-looking but useless, a waste who was only at the third level of Hidden Yuan. When the psychic power is tested later, if other schools find out that their leader is only at the third level of Hidden Yuan, they don't know what kind of ridicule they will receive. Thinking of this, all the students of Linwu High School couldn't help but feel sad. Finally, the team arrived at the Ares base branch. Numerous drones were ready to capture the scene from different angles without any blind spots. Bring a live broadcast feast of the martial arts exam to the people of Showa Prefecture. At this time, schools have arrived at the scene one after another. As each school team entered the venue, the referee of the Ares base would introduce them. The team that is walking is from Showa County's number 1 high school. The leader is Zhao He, a young talent who was promoted to the 8th dan of Hidden Yuan half a year ago. His current strength is a mystery, and I wonder what kind of surprises he will bring us now. Soon, we arrived at Linwu High School. The next team is from Linwu High School in Showa County, and the leader is... The referee was speechless. Because with the appearance of the Linwu High School team, the two leading men were so good-looking and their demeanor was even more extraordinary. When Sumo and Luoshi stand together, the visual effect is maximized. To anyone who looks at them, they seem like a perfect couple made in heaven, a talented man and a beautiful woman, a talented man and a beautiful woman. Because of the presence of these two people, the quality of the entire team has been raised to 12 points. Linwu High School has transformed from a mediocre team that was always in the middle and lower ranks to a top-notch team at first glance. It's very intimidating. When Linwu High School appeared, all other teams looked dim. The entire Ares base became silent, and everyone was watching the two leaders who looked like peerless evildoers. At this time, all the shots were turned to Linwu High School, or to be more precise, the team leader of Linwu High School. Looking at the script in his hand, the referee didn't know how to introduce it for a moment, so he had to change his words hastily. Linwu High School is a top team in Showa County. The leader is Luoshi, a peerless genius who was promoted to the 9th level of Hidden Yuan 3 years ago. That male leader, his realm is also very good. In fact, the entire script does not mention anything about the male leader, nor does it mention his specific rank. But when Sumo stood there, with the face of an unparalleled genius, who wouldn't be scared? At this time, the examiner team behind the Ares base. I think this Sumo is good, let's pick him. A blonde bunny girl in red, a woman with delicate and charming features. Pointing at the photo of Sumo on the virtual screen in front of her, she said with a flush of excitement on her pretty face. But the last time Sumo registered his spiritual power level, it was only the 3rd stage of Yin Yuan. The local instructor at the Ares base said with hesitation. I think he's good. What, do you have any objection? The blonde bunny girl glared and said dissatisfiedly. No, no objection. The local instructor's forehead was covered with cold sweat. And you all vote for him too, the blonde bunny girl continued, pointing at several other men with strong auras and different appearances, and said without leaving any room for doubt. Yes, Captain. Okay, Captain. I also feel that this boy is a good material for spiritual cultivation. It's rare that he caught the captain's eye. The people who were speaking were from the Tianhuang squad. Being sent from the main city to serve as the chief examiner of Showa, he naturally had absolute say. The team members naturally listened to their captain's words and echoed him at this time. Because their captain always has amazing martial arts intuition and his vision is surprisingly accurate. She can tell a person's potential almost exactly at a glance. Captain, have you discovered that this boy has hidden his skills? The deputy captain pushed his glasses and asked something extra. Did he hide his cultivation? Then I don't know. Fire Phoenix blinked her beautiful eyes and shook her head in confusion. Then, Captain, could it be that you have discovered something special about him? The deputy captain asked again tentatively. I have indeed discovered some special things about him. Hua Huan looked serious and nodded in agreement. I wonder what's so special about it? The team members asked curiously. Just very handsome. Next is the examiner's prediction of the strength ranking of the major high schools in this college entrance examination. Lingwu High School received 1834 votes, of which Su Mo received 1314 votes, Luoshi received 520 votes, and the rest received 0 votes. Showa First High School received 431 votes, Zhaohe received 82 votes. Hingyang High School received 389 votes. All the examiners, without exception, were optimistic about Lingwu High School, which was twice as high as the second place. The referee fell into deep thought as he looked at Lingwu High School's last place ranking in previous years. The charm of the two team leaders has transformed Lingwu High School from being at the bottom of the league to the team with the most potential. At this moment, in front of the virtual TV screens of thousands of households, everyone is paying attention to this martial arts exam. Lingwu Junior High School. Su Xian, is that man your brother? Your brother is actually a warrior. And it seems that they also mentioned the leader of Lingwu High School. That female leader was at the 9th level of Yinyuan 3 years ago. Your brother should be stronger, right? Tell me quickly. What is his strength? I'm afraid he is not at the 1st level of Dongming? Yes, Su Xian, tell me quickly. How deep is your brother's understanding? Could it be Yao Guang? Su Xian. Su Xian was so upset that she could only deal with it awkwardly. What could she say? Could it be that her brother was actually a useless little loser who was only at the 3rd level of Yinyuan? Was he just intimidating in appearance? This useless and stupid brother. Su Xian shook her head and sighed. You are too conservative. Let me tell you a number, Yuheng. You know Yuheng, right? He is the level of the lord of the main city. That's right, my brother. Almost the ceiling. It was just bragging anyway. Su Xian had already risked everything. When it is her brother's turn to have his psychic power level tested, she can just sneak away. I don't want to stay and die. Let me tell you something in secret. My brother can split the sky with one sword, and even chop the sea with one sword. He once saved the world. Sword Immortal, you know, my brother solved the pterosaur attack yesterday with just 2 slashes of his sword. Thinking of the boasts her brother had made to her, Su Xian also picked up a few and boasted about them. Seeing the girls exclaiming in amazement and envy, Su Xian couldn't help but feel a little elated. It felt so good to brag like that. No wonder his brother liked to show off so much. Moreover, these young ladies are so gullible. They have never seen the world and actually believed it. Please, do you really think Yuheng realm is easy to get? Tisk, you're exaggerating like it's real. Do you really think that Yuheng strongmen are cabbages? Return the sword, Immortal. I think your brother is just a pretty boy. As expected, there were still people who knew what she was talking about. Su Xian's mortal enemy saw through her lie at a glance and mocked her. You're talking nonsense. My brother is not some gigolo. He is the sword master. Su Xian was instantly angry. If she just didn't believe it, she wouldn't refute it. But why is she still talking about her brother now? Then she has to be serious. Even if it is true or false, I will not let you down with my words. Oh, it's just a pretty boy. It's the sword immortal. Soon, the two little girls started arguing and even pulling each other's hair. At this time, the Aries base branch. On the eve of the exam, people got used to Su Mo and Luo Shi's amazing aura, and things were gradually becoming lively. That male leader is so handsome and looks so strong. Who says it's not true? After all, the female leader was already at the 9th level of Hidden Yuan 3 years ago, and it seems that the male leader started out well. I'm afraid the top scorer in this local base city will go to Linwu High School. All the students looked at the two leaders of Linwu High School with amazement. Bullshit, he's only at the 3rd stage of Hidden Yuan. Liang, our Linwu High School can actually top the predicted strength ranking list one day. What would they do if they knew that the male team leader was only at the 3rd level of Yin Yuan? I'm going to get slapped in the face soon. I just can't bear to watch it. All the Linwu High School students who knew the truth wailed. Some schools are aware of the strength of Linwu High School. At this time, they all sneered. Su Mo, that pretty boy, isn't he only at the 3rd level of Hidden Yuan? When will he be able to become the team leader? Is there no one left in your Linwu High School? The leader of Showa First High School sneered and mocked. In the past, he didn't dare to say much because of his concern for Luo Shi, but now, he has also been promoted to the 9th level of Hidden Yuan, so it is natural. Isn't it time for the number 1 man in Showa County to give way? You really have no one left in Linwu High School. You have always been at the bottom of the list, and this time you even found a Hidden Yuan 3rd stage leader to make up the numbers. It has always been a bottom-ranked high school, and this time there will be no change. I wonder what the instructor's expressions will be when they find out that they misjudged your abilities. The martial arts students who usually look down on Linwu High School have already started to mock them. You! The other students of Linwu High School dared not speak out. Because what they said was actually true. Su Mo and Luo Shi were loving each other, and ignored these clowns. Soon, the first round of the martial arts exam, the psychic test, began. Not only were there drones following the entire process, but there were also instructors and security officers from the Ares base deployed nearby to prevent any accidents. Because according to past practices, the special instruments for testing psychic power levels will trigger some kind of strange phenomena in heaven and earth, which may attract strange beasts. At this time, all the martial arts students in Showa County, 20 schools were divided into 20 teams. In front of the 20 teams stood 10 mysterious boulders, each 2 or 3 meters long. There are some mysterious runes engraved on this huge stone, and streams of light flash across it from time to time. It has a strange shape and a majestic aura. This is a giant spirit stone that can test the specific cultivation level of each warrior. The martial arts exam is divided into spiritual power level test and combat power test. At this time, the first thing to be carried out is the spiritual power level test. All schools will be divided into 2 batches for testing, and Linwu High School is the second batch. At this time, the leaders of each school began to step forward and reached out to touch the giant stone. In an instant, a stream of light flashed across the giant spirit stone and slowly gathered into a few large characters. Zhao He from Showa First High School, Hidden Yuan 9th Dan. Louis Wei from Hengyang High School, Hidden Yuan 9th Stage. When they finished the test, they all looked at Linwu High School provocatively, with disdain and contempt in their eyes. Some candidates even moved their lips, and their lip shapes seemed to be saying, "Those who go to crappy schools should go to the bottom of the list." When 5 martial arts students were found to have the 9th level of Hidden Yuan, all the students of Linwu High School could only lower their heads with grim expressions, facing their provocations without daring to speak out. Because Luo Shi, who they had always regarded as their faith, was only at the 9th level of Hidden Yuan, and was now caught up by their leader. Then their Linwu school will no longer have any advantage at all. Finally, it was Linwu High School's turn. I heard that Luo Shi, the leader of Linwu High School, was one of the most talented people in Zhaohe County. He was already a 9th level Hidden Yuan master 3 years ago. But 3 years later, my strength hasn't improved at all, and I'm still at the 9th level of Hidden Yuan. Yes, she was once said to be able to stand shoulder to shoulder with those peerless geniuses in Gongqing, but now, although she is still a genius, her brilliance is obviously not as good as before. That's right. That boy named Su Mo seems to be her boyfriend. Ever since they officially announced their relationship 3 years ago, Luo Shi's cultivation has been stagnant. So, love can cause a lot of harm. A lonely genius who has not made any progress in his cultivation for 3 years, and a useless guy who is only at the 3rd level of Hidden Yuan. Forget Luo Shi, it's a pity, but Su Mo, he has nothing good except being handsome. Everyone who knew Linghu's background spoke out at this time, their voices filled with admiration. I really don't know what Luo Shi likes. Boom! Before everyone finished complaining, the whole place suddenly went silent. Everyone had a dazed look on their faces and their pupils contracted. With a loud bang like thunder in the clear sky, the giant stone began to shake violently, and mysterious runes kept flashing and moving on it. In an instant, a shocking beam of light shot up into the sky from the giant spirit stone. All the examinees, the entire area's base, teachers and instructors fell silent at this moment. But this is not the end. Boom! Another beam of light followed closely behind, not wanting to be left behind. The 2 beams of light ran side by side, stirring up the world. All other lights emitted by the giant spirit stones seemed dim at this moment. 2 extremely graceful figures stood under their respective beams of light. They were in front of all the examinees, all the instructors, and countless audiences across the country. They looked at each other and smiled. Under the spotlight of thousands of people, they held hands, like the most eye-catching couple in the world, laughing at everyone's incompetence. All the rumors were silently shattered at this moment. The 2 golden lights that shot up into the sky finally slowly gathered into 4 majestic and ancient characters. The 9th stage of Dongming. 9 levels of clarity. This is Dongming 9th stage. How is this possible? Both of them are Dongming 9th stage. Everyone stared with their eyes wide open, feeling deeply incredulous. A high school student actually has the 9th level of cultivation. It's not that I'm 1 or 2 levels ahead of others. I'm a full 10 levels ahead of others. How can this be compared? Is this a serious high school student? No, it's not true, I don't believe it. I don't believe it. The leader of Showa Daichi High School muttered to himself, staggered back several steps, and looked out of control. This is impossible. This is absolutely impossible. How come Su Mo is the 9th level of Dongming? The other students who looked down on Linwu High School went crazy and murmured incoherently. Su Mo, he is actually the 9th stage of Dongming. He is not Kai Yuan. The students at Linwu High School were also startled and shocked beyond words. Could it be that Su Mo is the real peerless evildoer? He has been deliberately suppressing his cultivation for so many years, enduring humiliation and bearing heavy burdens, and only exposed his cultivation of the 3rd stage of Hidden Yuan, just to fulfill Luo Shi's reputation as a genius. Oh my God, what a deep affection! I didn't expect Su Mo to have given so much silently for Luo Shi. We have always misunderstood him. Not only handsome, but also affectionate, oh my God! I'm going to faint. As it was the Chinese Valentine's Day, many students at Linwu High School had already secretly imagined a drama of deep hatred and bitterness. In the past, Luo Shi had always been loyal to the good-for-nothing Su Mo. But now it seems that the roles are about to be reversed. Oh my goodness, 2 Dongming 9 Dan. Was this discussed in advance? They should be in pairs. Showa County has never seen such a monster in history. 2 of them appeared today. What kind of monster is this? I feel like I'm fully qualified to compete for the top spot in the National College Entrance Examination. The instructors at the Ares base were all speechless, unable to control their emotions. Look, what did I say? I said this kid is good. He has an arrogant and invincible handsome face. He has such an outstanding demeanor and is so handsome? He is definitely a peerless master. Who would believe that he is at the 3rd level of Hidden Yuan? Only a fool would believe that. Based on this temperament and demeanor, I would believe you if you told me you are in the Yuheng realm. Hua Huang, the captain of the Tianhuang team, slapped the table, and her chest trembled with her movements. The corner of his mouth raised into a beautiful arc, and he said very proudly, "Yes, Captain is mighty. The captain has a keen eye. Captain 666. All the members of the Tianhuang team nodded in agreement. But then I was speechless again. Who just said that they simply thought he was handsome? But I only dared to say this in my heart. Now the world's top scorer in the college entrance examination must belong to Showa Prefecture. Ha! Behind the scenes, the mayor of Showa County shouted excitedly, his beard shaking. Showa Prefecture, which has always been at the bottom, is about to produce a world-leading college entrance examination scorer. This is a grand event for the entire DG city. Dongming 9th Dan. This has never appeared in the history of college entrance examinations. This boy is extraordinary. He has the appearance of Yuheng. The military commander of the general's mansion also exclaimed with a twinkle in his eyes. Yuheng, that's already the level of the lord of the main city. A top-notch figure in the world. The fate of hundreds of millions of citizens is at stake. It is no exaggeration to say that a main city now is like a country before the disaster. I just wonder, who of the two will be the top scorer in the college entrance examination? Inspector Showa also stroked his beard and muttered to himself. Lingwu Junior High School. The 2 little girls who were pulling at the things had also stopped what they were doing. They all stared at the scene in front of the virtual TV with a dull look on their faces. This is my brother. My brother is the 9th level of Dongming. He is actually at the 9th level of Dongming. How is it possible? He just... Su Xian opened her beautiful eyes wide, mumbling to herself, and was obviously deeply shaken. So my brother is number 1 in the world. He really is number 1 in the world. After a long time, Su Xian seemed to have digested this information and shouted excitedly. The still young face had already begun to show its stunning beauty, and was now flushed with excitement. Hong, do you know? My brother is number 1 in the world. He didn't lie to me, he really is number 1 in the world. Su Xian excitedly shook her little sister's shoulders. The little sisters were shaken so much that they almost passed out. Xian. I know, your brother is number 1 in the world. The little sister said dizzily. He's only at the 9th level of Dongming. Why is Su Xian so happy? Didn't Su Xian say her brother is at the Yuheng realm? The little girls around asked in confusion. What do you know? My brother just... In her excitement, Su Xian almost let the cat out of the bag. Then he quickly stopped talking. His brother is no longer a loser at the 3rd level of Hidden Yuan, but a peerless genius. No one can compare to her except Sister Luoshi. TSK, why are you so proud? He is not a sword immortal either. The little girl who was rubbing against her still spoke unconvincingly, but her voice suddenly became quieter. Obviously lack of confidence. Because she also knows the value of a high school student who has reached the 9th level of Dongming. That is the undisputed first among college entrance examination candidates around the world. At this moment, the beam of light that shot straight into the sky slowly faded away. Su Mo and Luo Shi walked down the test bench hand in hand with a calm expression. They are still radiant and dazzling. It seemed that there was not even a ripple caused by the shock of the people in front of him. It seemed as if they had anticipated such an outcome, and as if they had discussed it long ago. They all burst out with this kind of cultivation together. They are still like the most perfect couple in the world, with an unspoken understanding and tenderness that only exists for each other. But no one knew that there were already undercurrents in the hearts of the two of them. At this moment, the hands they held had already been secretly clenched. Mainly because Luo Shi was squeezing Su Mo's hand hard. But Su Mo looked calm and unperturbed. Didn't you say you were only at the 3rd level of enlightenment? After stepping down, Luo Shi glared at Su Mo fiercely with her beautiful eyes. Then I saw you said you were at the 3rd level of insight. Su Mo was speechless. Okay, little Susie, you're starting to play dirty, right? Have you learned to hide your skills? Luo Shi said angrily. She burst out with the aura of the 3rd stage of enlightenment, and Su Mo immediately followed suit, bursting out with the aura of the 3rd stage of enlightenment. She was startled at the time and had to remove the seal, quickly releasing the aura of the 4th stage of clarity. Then Su Mo was slightly surprised and then followed with an amused look on his face. She later burst out with the 6th stage of Dongming, and was also caught up by Su Mo. Until the end, he had to burst out all his cultivation, the 9th stage of Dongming, but was still caught up by Su Mo. The most infuriating thing was that during this period, Su Mo had been looking at her calmly, with a smile on the corner of his incredibly handsome mouth, revealing a hint of damn doting. Bastard! Who told him to spoil me? Shouldn't I be the one to spoil him? It was like he was letting me go on purpose. Ah, who told him to give in? This bastard! Luo Shi was so angry. This was the first time in history that she was surpassed by the man she had always protected. And once you surpass someone, you surpass them in a very fierce way. I still can't see where the limit is. Asshole! How come the difference has become so big after only 1 or 2 days? It felt like years had passed? Could it really be that a day without seeing you feels like a long time? From the beginning, who was at the 3rd stage of Hidden Yuan, to now, even she couldn't see the depth. Su Mo, what exactly did you go through? What adventures did you have? However, as a couple, Luo Shi naturally did not ask too many questions. After all, everyone has their own secrets. As long as Su Mo is still the same Su Mo, with eyes as bright as the starry sky, and always with unbreakable tenderness, and doting when looking at her, that is enough. But she still felt unwilling. After all, she had always regarded Su Mo as her own concubine, and this was the first time she was surpassed by him. She seemed to have a vague premonition of the day when Su Mo would pin her down and cry. Thinking of this, she felt a little depressed and pouted unhappily. What's wrong, wife? Su Mo asked with a funny look on his face. Humph! I don't care. I want to be on top. Luo Shi didn't know what he suddenly thought of. He snorted heavily and said unconvincedly, Okay, you're on top, is that okay? Su Mo replied with a doting look on his face. That's more like it. Luo Shi pursed her sexy red lips and breathed a sigh of relief. In the next local college entrance examination in Showa County, Su Mo and Luo Shi will no longer have anything to do with it. Their examination location will be switched to the main city. Generally speaking, only those who have reached the Dongming realm or above will go to the main city for the examination. During the day, the winner will no longer be determined by realm, but by combat power. Because the Dongming realm is no longer simply about tempering the body with spiritual energy. Instead, he has mastered martial arts and spiritual skills proficiently, and his own combat power has increased exponentially. Mastering different levels of martial arts and spiritual skills will greatly improve your combat power. Some true geniuses would deliberately stay in the Dongming realm to hone their foundation and refine their martial arts. It is normal to fight above their level. Su Mo and Luo Shi will be ranked in terms of combat power in the main city and fight against the talented students there. Finally, the top 10 students from the entire main city, including all the students from the base cities under the main city, were selected. Then go to the capital and join the other 7 main cities in the final college entrance examination ranking battle. Determine the world's top scorer in the college entrance examination. In the entire Showa County, there was only one time in all the years when one had the honor to go to the main city to participate in the battle power ranking, and at that time, a genius who had reached the highest level of insight appeared. And this time, it will be the second time. As for the 9th level of profound enlightenment, very few top scorers in the college entrance examinations around the world have ever been able to reach this level. If nothing unexpected happens, Su Emo and Luo Shi are basically sure to be the top scorers in the college entrance examination. Su Emo and Luo Shi, as the only two martial arts candidates in the 023 base city, will go to the main city to take the next exam and be ranked in combat power. Although there were only two of them, they were personally escorted all the way by members of the Tianhuang team. On the flying fighter plane of the Tianhuang team members, the blonde bunny girl Hua Huang looked at Su Emo with ill intent, a hint of seductive charm in her eyes. She crossed her long legs and used her slender jade fingers to move from the ups and downs of her body to her snow-white legs below, showing off her enchanting and beautiful figure. Then he took the initiative to talk to Su Emo and asked, "How old is your little brother this year?" Su Emo frowned and said coldly, 17. Hua Huang seemed not to feel the coldness in Su Mo's words. She laughed so hard that her body shook. Then she teased, "Oh, I thought she was 18. Su Emo frowned, feeling that something was odd. Why did such an ordinary conversation have a different flavor and arouse people's imagination when it was sung by Hua Huang's seductive voice? Su Emo was speechless and didn't say anything. At this time, Luo Shi took the initiative to hold Su Mo's hand and looked at Hua Huang with full vigilance. "Hubby, come eat some cherries," Luo Shi suddenly said in a tender voice. He carefully put a bright red cherry from the fruit plate in the lounge into Su Mo's mouth. He glanced at the fire phoenix like a kitten protecting its cub. Su Emo felt a tingling sensation in her heart. It had been 23 years since Luo Shi called her husband. "I remember the last time I called her husband was last time." Su Emo knew that Luo Shi was asserting her sovereignty, and she was still so cute when she was jealous. Looking at the cherry that was brought to his mouth, Su Emo opened his mouth. "Ouch! Sweet in the mouth. My wife peels bananas for you." As he spoke, Su Emo peeled a banana for Luo Shi and stuffed it into Luo Shi's red lips. "Ah, husband, this banana is so big," Luo Shi said in a sweet voice while eating a banana, her beautiful face leaning sweetly on Su Mo's shoulder. Then, her beautiful eyes glanced at Hua Huang vaguely. Her expression seemed calm, but her slightly raised eyebrows clearly showed a hint of pride. Hua Huang's eyebrows jumped, being exposed to such a blatant display of affection. "Aw, so angry! Captain, I'll feed you bananas too!" Seeing that the situation was not good, the members of the Tianhuang team rushed over to help. "Get lost!" Fire Phoenix said angrily. Half an hour later, the fighter plane finally flew into the city. Looking down at this city from the sky, it is simply stunning. This bustling and huge urban machine is many times larger than Showa Prefecture. It was as if the area of a great country before the catastrophe, and its population density were unprecedentedly large. Everywhere there are all kinds of advanced driverless cars, the latest magnetic levitation cars, artificial intelligence robots, and all kinds of strange-looking flying vehicles. It feels like arriving in the real future world. From time to time, huge virtual projections suddenly appear on high-rise buildings, presenting a visual feast. At the same time, laser weapons were deployed above every tall building to prevent various flying winged beasts from attacking the city. The Tianhuang team flew their fighter planes all the way to the War God Palace base in the main city, where they will carry out the next battle force ranking. "That's the fighter plane of the Tianhuang team, right? I heard that the Tianhuang team was assigned to a small base city as examiners. I guess it's another so-called genius from a small place. It's boring. A small place is a small place. All these years, the geniuses they were so proud of, none of them can compete. They can't even make it into the top 50, let alone the top 10. How can they participate in the global qualifying competition? People in small places don't have enough resources for cultivation. It's good enough if they can cultivate to the Dongming realm before adulthood. They are indeed geniuses. Can we expect them to learn any high-end martial arts or spiritual skills? It's normal for their combat power to be poor. Our real enemies are still the people in Liqing." Many people looked at the fighter plane approaching. Their initial exclamation of amazement was fleeting, but after they understood the whole story, they immediately turned their disdainful eyes away. I no longer pay too much attention to it. Among the geniuses who have reached the Dongming realm, 80% to 90% are from the martial arts students in the main city, while the other base cities combined may account for less than 20%. And base cities like 023 Base City, which are at the bottom of the ranking, have not contributed a single quota for many years. At this time, it naturally would not attract everyone's attention. Soon, as the fighter plane landed, members of the Tianhuang team came down. Hey, what do you think the country bumpkins in small towns look like? Who knows? Maybe they'll still be wearing clothes from the pre-disaster era. In my opinion, it must be hiss. Everyone was speechless, because the next moment, they had already seen two figures behind the Tianhuang team, slowly approaching. Everyone's pupils contracted, and there was a flash of surprise in their eyes when they saw something beautiful. At this moment, all the beautiful words seemed so pale and powerless, and cannot describe even a fraction of its charm. I saw the two of them walking quietly, like the protagonists of this world. Everything in the world seemed dim with the appearance of the two of them. The Tianhuang team stood beside the two men, and they were reduced to foils, looking like subordinates or bodyguards. You know, the Tianhuang team is all in Kaiyang realm, and the aura of the strong men is already extraordinary, but they were still severely suppressed by those two unbelievably young martial arts students. This made everyone's attention unconsciously converge on those two people. The main thing is, her temperament and appearance are so outstanding, right? Why did the two martial arts students from the Dongming realm show the demeanor of the Yuheng realm? F***ck. They look so awesome. After a long time, everyone gradually came back to their senses. They were speechless as they could not think of a word after trying so hard to come up with it. They racked their brains and exhausted all their life's learning, but found that no words were enough to describe these two people, or rather, all the beautiful words seemed to be created for them. Could it be that the news is wrong? The Tianhuang team didn't pick up someone from the small base city, but a young master from the capital? Or maybe some hidden sect that never comes to the world? Everyone was speechless, unable to control their emotions. This temperament and appearance are very much like that of a peerless genius. I feel a little nervous when looking at him. What should I do? Everyone put away their contempt, and replaced it with an unprecedented solemnity. Why can clothes from before the disaster look so good? Hiss, are they really that good looking? Compared to this, we seem like local dogs. Someone else murmured, and then a few lights lit up in the crowd. Artificial intelligence automatically implanted the clothing template, and the psychic clothing on his body immediately changed its form and became the style before the disaster era. However, even if she changed into clothes similar to Su Mo and Luo Shi, her temperament was still far worse. They sadly discovered that they couldn't even hold on to the clothes they wore before the disaster. But no matter what, just follow the trend. Soon, the battle to rank the main city's combat power began. Uncle Zhang, go check the information of these two people for me. In the distance, a martial arts examinee who was dressed extremely luxuriously and looked very heroic spoke. When Su Mo and Luo Shi appeared together, the words, unparalleled genius, were almost engraved on their faces. Just based on that temperament, it's hard to ignore. As the most famous genius in the city, he could no longer sit still and had to find out. Yes, master, the middle-aged man behind him said. Soon, a stack of information was delivered to the man in front of him. Luo Shi, he was at the 9th level of Hidden Yuan 3 years ago. He was praised as a peerless genius, but his cultivation level did not improve at all in the past 3 years. Until this martial arts exam, when he was tested for spiritual power, he was found to be at the 9th level of clairvoyance. And Su Mo, he was only at the 3rd stage of Yin Yuan a while ago, but now he is also at the 9th stage of Dongming. Looking at the information in front of him, Ling Tian couldn't help but frown deeply. Then he smiled disdainfully. Do you believe this information? This? Even you don't believe it? It seems that the people in the county are making a fool of us. How could a person jump from the hidden yuan stage to the 9th stage of the deep clear realm in such a short period of time? Not to mention that Su Mo, who is at the 3rd stage of the hidden yuan realm, it's even more outrageous. He must have hidden his cultivation a long time ago. Ling Tian shook his head and sighed. I just don't know how much is hidden. Master, do we need to continue investigating? The middle-aged man asked. No need. Their identities have obviously been hidden. We won't find anything if we investigate further. Ling Tian waved his hand and said, no one would believe this information. Such a bearing? Could it be from some ancient martial arts family? Ling Tian guessed. The easier it is to find out the information, the more surprising the person's background is. It is obvious that the real identity is hidden. You can only find out what others want you to find out. After all, even the true realm cannot be found out. He couldn't even find out about the young master of the city lord, and the background of the person who came was even more shocking. Just based on this appearance and temperament, if he were just an ordinary citizen, no one would believe it. Could it be some illegitimate child of Tian Quan who is wandering around? Ling Tian thought again. No matter what, I am still a 9th level master. I just don't believe they can beat me in martial arts. Although I am only at the 7th Dan level, I can already compete with the veteran 9th Dan level. Ling Tian gritted his teeth secretly. He was a combat genius who could fight 3 levels higher. His grandfather even called him having the appearance of a jade balance. He is determined to win the championship in this combat power ranking. This year, there are 98 martial arts students who have reached the Dongming realm in the entire Liqing. There are 73 people in the main city, and the remaining 100 base cities have only 26 people in total. It can be seen that there are very few martial arts students who can reach the Dongming realm and be sent to the main city for examination. At this moment, on the huge stage of the War God Palace base, the first round of trials begins. 98 people will fight in a melee. After half of them are eliminated, the next round of fighting will begin. At this time, Su Mo and Luo Shi stood on the ring together, looking around, surrounded by martial arts candidates from other base cities. They held hands and stood in the middle of the crowd, looking calm and composed. It doesn't seem like they are here for a martial arts exam, but rather for a relaxing vacation. The martial arts combat test has begun. All the candidates looked at each other, but no one dared to take action. They are both Dongming 9th Dan. Let's attack them together, eliminate the 2 strongest ones first, otherwise we will be finished once they join forces. One person said. Yes, let's eliminate the 2 strongest ones first. Brothers, let's kill them! There were 2 people in the crowd who shouted the loudest. But he retreated the farthest, and had no intention of taking action at all. If you can do it, go ahead. Stop nagging. The people around them looked at them with disdain. Obviously, those who can be promoted to the Dongming realm are all young talents, and are not so easily provoked. Soon, everyone looked at each other, and most of the candidates quickly moved to a safe location to avoid being targeted by everyone. At the same time, he waited and watched, and quickly searched for weaker targets. Of course, a small number of candidates who were confident in their own abilities had already taken the lead in attacking those around them. But without exception, they all avoided the 2 people standing in the middle of the ring, intentionally or unintentionally. This is just a qualifying round. I don't know if the 2 strongest players will be killed by concentrated fire. But the person who makes the first move will definitely be eliminated first. Therefore, at this time, the weak ones can just hide as long as they can. As long as they can survive to the end, they will win without any effort. In order to avoid being targeted and ambushed, the strong ones also pick on the weak ones. It's just a tryout and no one wants to take the risk of being eliminated, so everyone is taking the most conservative approach at this time. It was only a moment. The martial arts and spiritual skills were flying everywhere in the field, dazzling people, and a melee broke out directly. This selection competition is also intended to train candidates' ability to survive in chaos. However, no matter how everyone fought, after a round, no one dared to attack Su Mo and Luo Shi. Boss, they won't be fooled, what should we do? The people who had first provoked Ling Tian now surrounded him, fighting with the people around them while speaking. Asshole, then lead the war to their side, force them to take action, and test their strength first. Ling Tian said with his eyes slightly narrowed. He just didn't believe it. Wouldn't this force the two men to take action?